Hey guys, welcome to Pocket Saga. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Ash started in Kalos, part 2. This story is Ash XYZ by the respected author FestiveWillow69. Make sure to show some love for their work. Before starting, if you are interested in Pokemon fanfictions, you can consider subscribing this channel and like this video that keeps me motivated to upload more. Now let's dive in. Alright Frogadier, use Shadow Sneak, Ash commanded. The water starter's shadow seemed to have gained sentience as it slithered across the training area, sneaking around Lucario and was about to attack. Counter with Bone Rush, Karina requested. Forming a light blue energy staff in the shape of a long bone, he growled as he swiped it through the shadow, causing it to disappear. Surprise him with feint attack. Nodding, the Bubble Frog Pokemon leapt up and disappeared from sight, but the gym leader was not deterred. Sense him out and use Power-Up Punch. As the battle continued, Ash and friends had trained with Karina so that they could grow stronger together and be able to beat her. And so far the results have been fruitful. Their Fletchinders evolved into Talonflames, their Kanto starters evolved into their final forms, and while Trevor is expected caught every Pokemon not already collected on Route 10, Serena added to her team an Eevee, so that it can become an Espeon. Shauna asked why not a Sylveon, and she replied it was too pink for her. Plus they can learn Dazzling Gleam, so it would learn a fairy-type move anyway. Back to the main topic. Frogadier was blown back by another power-up punch. The water starter struggled to get up, not wanting to disappoint her master. Come on Frogadier, I believe in you, he called to his starter. Completely determined, she got to her hands and feet, and even more impressively, her feet alone as she began to glow. Ah, she's evolving, Karina gasped in delight. Everyone present watched as the frog grew some height, and became more angular. By the time the evolution process ended, from feet to head now stood a black-skinned, red-tongued, ninja-style water starter known as Greninja. Greninja. She spoke with intensity as she crouched down into her signature stance. Wow, you evolved. And you look so cool. Ash was amazed by her new form. Leaping up into the air, Greninja formed a shuriken made of water, and launched it with blistering speed at the unsuspecting Lucario. Block it, Karina pleaded. Putting his arms together, Lucario was able to endure the attack, even as the shuriken made a watery explosion, pushing him back. Ash, that was Greninja's signature move Water Shuriken, Trevor yelled out in jubilation. Water Shuriken. Ash said the words himself, and grinned. Okay, let's test it out for real. Shadow Sneak. Once more. Landing on the ground, the ninja Pokemon let her shadow attack again. Bone Rush. The fighting-type specialist ordered. Forming another staff, he swiped at the shadow like before, and was prepared this time for the counter-attack. Water Shuriken. Up close. Forming two shuriken within her padded hands, the water starter ran with a much faster running stride. Power-Up Punch. Karina ordered. The two Pokemon rapidly approached each other with glowing offensive attacks that managed to clash in between each other, struggling to overcome one another. Keep it up. Both trainers yelled, their spirits ramped up to the max. The Pokemon exchanged blows, repeatedly punching and slashing, and yet never actually managing to land a blow against anything but their fists as they moved with acrobatics around each other, trying to get the one up on the other. Ash then got an idea. Use your tongue. Whipping her head around, she managed to slap Lucario across the face, obscuring his vision thanks to her saliva. This provided her just enough of a distraction to land a shuriken into Lucario's stomach, the jackal coughing from such an attack that he was launched back way far, crashing into a tree behind the stunned Karina. Wah Lucario. We won. We've become stronger, much stronger, Ash cheered. Greninja said her name before proceeding to have water swirl around her instead. Everyone gasped to see that within the water tornado Greninja glowed bright blue, transforming once again. While her body didn't change for the most part, the crest and fins on her head did become bigger and darker with black and red zigzags. When her form was completed, the water starter looked mostly the same, but much more imposing. 2 evolutions? He asked. What is that? All 3 of his friends asked. Wow, that's so cool. Wait, let me do something first. Running to her Lucario, she took a Max Revive crystal from her backpack and then fed it to her Aura Pokemon. His eyes shot open, and he pushed himself up back onto his feet. All right, Now that Lucario is back to business, it's time to get serious. Also from her backpack, she gave the Lucario a red wristband with a mega stone in it. Once the fighting, steel type ran onto the field, she touched her keystone. Lucario, surpass evolution, mega evolve. Energy was exchanged between the two stones of the Pokemon present. He grew taller with Spike appearing on his feet, his tail became much more rough, his appendages became longer as they were now more like dreadlocks. Once the mega evolution was over, there now stood a much more ferocious-looking Aura Pokemon, a rainbow helix above his head for a second. Now I'm really pumped up. Lucario, use Swords Dance and then use Power-Up Punch, increasing the strength of his physical power. The Aura Pokemon's fist glowed orange as he ran with speed even greater than what Greninja has previously shown. Dodge it! As the mega-evolved Jackal came in close, Greninja seemingly teleported out of everyone's sight, making everyone gasp. Greninja! They looked up to see that the water starter has jumped so fast that they didn't see her do so. No way! Come on, Power-Up Punch again! The gym leader pleaded. Lucario's fists still glowed as he jumped up. Dodge and use Water Shuriken. Moving so fast no one saw her movements again. A glow attracted their attention to the ground as she formed a 4-point star from her back, and threw it at Lucario, which split into 3 attacks. Lucario was defenseless as he was hit by the triple attack even as he tried to block them, caught in a powerful explosion. Karina couldn't believe it as one of her ace Pokemon fell to the ground, defeated as he changed back into his regular form, while smashing into the ground. Lucario! She called out as she ran to her partner, along with her second Lucario, unable to believe what just happened. Greninja reverted back to her regular self as well. Ash! What the heck was that? Serena came up and playfully pushed Ash. You didn't tell me you were doing secret training with your starter. Wait a minute, I have no idea how that happened. He tried defending himself. But if you have no idea how you did it, then what could have caused Greninja to evolve? Shauna pondered. Trevor tried thinking of an answer. I don't think that was an evolution. Sure, Greninja's head looked different but she looked pretty much the same. It seemed more like an augmentation, really. Let me study her. Taking out his Pokédex, the short redhead scanned the starter. Greninja, the ninja Pokemon. It creates throwing stars out of compressed water. When it spins them and throws them at high speed, these stars can split metal in two. It appears and vanishes with a ninja's grace. It toys with its enemies using swift movements, while slicing them with throwing stars of sharpest water. Trevor pressed a few more buttons. Ability. Unknown. Scanning, recalibrating, computing, analysis complete. Pokédex updated. Ability. Battle Bond. Battle Bond allows Kalos starters to transform in mid-battle only after when it KOs an opponent. So my Foxy can do that too? Serena gasped with a smile, clasping her hands together. Oh, I want my lil Chessie to do that as well. Shauna jumped up and down with pure excitement and anticipation. But we don't know when they might evolve, Trevor pointed out. Leave it to me guys. Karina attracted their attention, having healed up her Pokemon. This sounds very interesting, like a newly discovered variant of Mega Evolution. I've got just the thing. Looking through her backpack, she brought out candies. These candies are rare, but when a Pokemon eats them, they somehow become instantly stronger. Both of the trainer girls looked at each other and nodded, and proceeded to bring out their own respective starters. Come on Foxy, this way make you strong. Here lil Chessie, it's yummy candy. Does it taste good? Both of them fed the candies to the starters, and that's when the magic happened as they evolved. Foxy grew as her fur covered her legs, and thus made her tail appear to be lower proportionally to her body. Fur also grew more from her forearms and completely from her ears. Foxy has now evolved into a Delphox with purple and lavender fur. Chessie's armor split open in the front, allowing her body inside to sprout up, and spikes grew from the armor now covering her back, along with the outer side of her forearms and fingers. Once the glowing was gone, it appeared that even with her most durable armor was now covering her back and shoulders. Bandage wrapping like armor covered the rest of her body, which was colored green and reddish-brown colored. Lil Chessie is now a Chesnaught. Yes. They evolved. The girls cheered. Now they just need to KO an enemy. But who can provide that? Trevor pondered. It was then that a pair of psychic trainers came into the area. We have sensed a strong will around this area. Perhaps it was one of you that can provide us a battle. What perfect timing. Ash and Karina just had a battle, but our Pokemon starters just evolved, so now we're ready. Serena accepted the challenge. Karina then got in the middle. I'll referee this match. Let the battle begin. Duosion, Gothorita, let's go. Fittingly, a pair of psychic-type Pokemon appeared on the field. One was what appeared to be a zygote or a mitosis within floating green gelatinous material, while the other was a black humanoid Pokemon with a pink face. Its head had 2 black buns on its head and 2 white bows on each, along with 2 white bows on its dress-like body, reminding one of a gothic loli if they read their manga. Serena went first. Use mystical fire. Forming a ring of flame with the wand she pulled out of her tail, the fox Pokemon then breathed a stream of fire from her mouth, causing a massive torrent of flame to blast towards the opposition. Use pin missile as well. Chessie. Following her master's order, the spike fingers at the end of her arms glowed white before firing multiple projectiles. The pin missiles combined with the mystical fire, creating a streaming white-lined fiery attack. The 2 Pokemon on the opposite end were too slow and thus panicked as they was unable to defend against the attack. With a cry, they were down for the count already. It appears that our initial assault won't get past them, brother, one of the psychics said stoically. Indeed. We'll need to use our combo. Gothorita, return. Then both of them summoned their ace Pokemon. Slowbro, Slowking, let's go. Both of the psychics sent out 2 Pokemon that looked a pink combination of a salamander and hippopotamus on legs. Each of them had shells biting down on their bodies in different locations. The tail for Slowbro and the top of the head for Slowking. But what neither of them could have foretold was that Foxy and Chessie's battle bonds began to take into effect as a fire and grass tornado surrounded them respectively. Come on, let's get stronger together, both female trainers yelled with vigor as their respective starters transformed. Chessie's bandage-wrapping armor started to become more wood-like, growing healthy and thick as her arms became bigger and stronger, with rock spikes growing out of the outer forearms, her legs thicker to support the extra weight, and spiky foliage to grow on Chessie's shell armor on her back while her spikes hardened into rock. It was like her body became part tree and rock cannonball. Foxy on the other hand became more witch-like as her wand extended into a full-blow staff. The fur around her legs became more fluffy and voluptuous, and the hair of her ears ignited at the ends, giving her head a much more fiery, sage-like look. Even with the fire tornado gone, her staff was lit at the end with purple flame. Their battle bond transformations have been completed. Brother, what is this? One of the psychics questioned, taking a step back. I don't know, I've never seen this kind of thing before. Let's get things going, Serena, Shauna encouraged. Right back at ya, Shauna. The tomboy agreed. Use light screen. And use needle arm on Slowking, as Foxy erected a bright yellow barrier around their side of the field. The grass, ground type ran forward with a green glowing arm, and proceeded to clothesline the royal Pokemon into the ground, whom groaned with intense pain from the attack. Thunderwave. Both the psychic brothers commanded. The water, psychic types each sent out a wave of electricity, but while Foxy was affected and slowed down, Chessie was unaffected. Huh, but I thought Chesnots were grass, fighting types, Slowking's owner exclaimed. It should have been affected. Guess he got a grounding upgrade. Shauna remarked. Needle arm again. Raising her right fist again, glowing with green energy, Chessie slammed her arm into Slowking's head. The royal Pokemon could barely make any noises as it fell down onto its front, defeated. Quick, Ice Beam. From its mouth, Slowbro fired a zigzagging beam of icy energy, freezing the Chesnot's left arm. Even with the light screen it still badly hurt now, having a 4x weakness to ice moves. Use mystical fire. Serena pleaded. Even with paralysis, the fox Pokemon was able to raise her staff and create a circle, and thus breathed a stream of flame right at the Pokemon. Even though it wasn't effective, the hermit crab Pokemon still seemed uncomfortable. Now use Pin Missile. Her spiky fingers glowing again, the spiny armor Pokemon fired a barrage of incoming attacks Slowbro had no chance of avoiding, and thus was caught in an explosion. By the time the smoke cleared, the other water, psychic type was defeated. We were no match. Both psychic brothers conceded as they returned their Pokemon. Both of the Kalos starters returned to their regular forms with a quick elemental tornado change, and were soon hugged by both their owners. Foxy. You were so elegant and powerful, and did you seriously turn into a tree? You're so awesome? Foxy and Chessie laughed from the praise they were getting. Wow, to think that they can do the same thing Greninja can do, Ash observed, impressed with his friends. Not only that, but there's so much data now, Trevor cheered. I have to show these to Professor Sycamore. There's just something special about you guys, isn't there? Karina asked him, placing a hand on his right shoulder. It's like you guys are the protagonists of a story where everything just goes right. Wouldn't that make for a bad story? The trainer asked. Not if it's done cleverly. She gave him a wink. Now then, who wants lunch because I'm starving? I do. All the trainers raised their hands, except the psychics who already left. Ash, Serena, Shauna, Trevor and Karina were walking through Reflection Cave where the walls were like mirrors. Like a naturally made hall of mirrors. While they waited for Trevor to finish catching everything, the three girls and one guy were having a discussion. So, what do you think it's like on the opposite of mirrors? Shauna asked. Do you think everyone could opposite reflections of themselves, like good people or bad or vice versa? Or how about if everyone was the opposite of who they are personality-wise? Ash snickered. What would that make me? A Kalos-born billionaire that's successful and yet terrible at Pokemon. Serena jabbed while nudging her shoulder into him. Ash grinned as he shot back. Sure, but that would also mean you suck as well and would fit the dumb blonde stereotype. The tomboy then punched his arm, making the trainer wince, before realizing something. Wait, you're smart, but you're also an athletic tomboy. So that would make you a dumb school textbook nerd. Ha ha ha. That's hilariously paradoxical. Karina the gym leader laughed strongly, as did the rest of them. Although Serena was also blushing because it did not escape her notice he called her smart. Then she thought of something. Wait. If the mirror dimension reverses things, what if it also reverses the concept of reversing, and thus it's the same on their side as it is like ours? Everyone stared at the blonde trainer for about 10 seconds before they all busted a gut laughing, Ash and Shauna falling to their side while holding their sides. Oh man, that's too priceless. He hollered. Mirrors make no sense whatsoever. Shauna squealed in giggles and guffaws. They pretty much laughed until it started to hurt, and soon after Trevor was finished. What's so funny? He asked. Oh, we'll explain later, Karina replied. Let's get going to my hometown. It's just out of this cave. Shalor City, a place where houses and buildings resided on the slope of a high hill with an ocean as a perfect view, and in the distance is a tower which has a bridge, but only accessible during the low tide. After a week of traveling, they finally reached the city. The group was talking to Professor Sycamore about what they just discovered in the Pokemon Center. Battle Bond. Oh my, I've heard such of an ability, yes. You have? Ash asked, curious. Indeed, it's a very rare ability amongst the starters of Kalos, just about as rare as shiny Pokemon. I'd say you three hit the mother lode of luck. Shiny female Kalos starters with the Battle Bond ability. Whoa. Shauna gasped in wonder. Whoa indeed. Well, I'm going to return to my work, but I do need to talk to Trevor first. You know, Pokédex stuff. Alright, Professor. Come on, let's do some more shopping, Serena encouraged. All but the redhead followed, and Professor Sycamore asked the young teen. So, how has your Pokédex been going? Great, I've caught 107 different Pokemon, and even more than that thanks to some of them evolving. Amazing. You're just about 1/6 of the way there, Trevor. Way to go. He gave his protege a thumbs up. And since you've reached Shalor City, I'm sure you'll figure out the secrets of Mega Evolution too. Oh, we already figured it out, the boy replied innocently. Sycamore gasped. Really? That's fantastic. Please tell me. Well, while we don't know the origin since Karina hasn't told us, apparently there isn't any big secret to Mega Evolution. A good 10 seconds passed before the professor said. What? Yeah, apparently it's just a big strength booster and nothing else. But isn't there a link between the Pokemon and trainer? Anything of the bond between them? Nope. Regardless of how long the two know each other, the Pokemon will evolve with the correct stones, best friend or acquaintance. To Trevor's concern, the professor slumped down on his desk, his head on the desk while his hands were placed on the back of his head. 25 years. I've dedicated a quarter of my life to Mega Evolution, and it's just a performance booster. How could it have taken me this long to realize it? Are you okay, Professor? The young teen asked, worried for Sycamore. Trevor, please, how many have they known? The gym leaders? Diantha? He asked, sounding desperate. How about we calm down, Professor? Just take some deep breaths. You don't understand, Trevor, he yelled. From how you responded, it sounds like they were all in on it. All of them. I trusted them and they led me on a goose chase for 25 years. Abruptly, he hung up the call. Oh geez. The redhead sighed anxiously, scratching the back of his neck. Returning to his group, Shauna noticed him and asked. So what did the professor need? I think I accidentally broke him. The redhead bemoaned. That got everyone worried. What do you mean? Well, he was pleased that I caught over 100 Pokemon, but when I told him about how there was no Mega Evolution he just flipped out. Serena then gave the redhead a good smack up the back of his round hair. Trevor, how could you not realize such news would destroy him? The tomboy scolded. I mean, I love that the old man was being duped, but he didn't deserve being told his goal and progress wound up being a big waste. Are you that stupid despite having a big brain your hair is supposedly hiding? Come on, how was I supposed to know? He defended himself, starting to cry. I was one of his most trusted helpers. How could I be of help to him if I led him on the same goose chase all of the gym leaders did? Serena, he wanted to say more, but the glare she was giving him replaced his panic strike and anger to fear like a switch. You what, huh? Towering over him with the mean look she was giving him, the teen just ran off, leaving the Pokemon Center with sobs. A few seconds passed before Serena relaxed, giving a depressed sigh as she wiped her forehead. Serena, that was really mean. Shauna called her friend out, pointing at the blonde. How could you say Trevor's stupid? He's one of the smartest kids I know. With both the aggressive tone and the finger pointed at her, the tomboy's emotions got the better of her as she retorted. And that's what he is, a kid. Despite his smarts, he sure doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut. It's his fault for breaking the professor. With a huff, Shauna left the center as well, going to look for Trevor. Serena noticed Karina's cold gaze at her. What? She asked, crossing her arms. Oh, nothing. I just didn't realize how cold of a friend you were. You seemed cool, but you're just a jerk underneath that, aren't you? Serena stiffened at that as the gym leader also left. Sir Serena. Ash cautiously said her name. He touched her left shoulder, but then the blonde collapsed onto her knees, unable to hold back restrained sobs. Serena? He asked again, this time more concerned as he stooped to be in front of her, and saw that she was crying. I didn't really mean it. You know that already. The tough love? The male trainer remembered about her explanation back at that rip-off forest they were in. I thought he was going to do it. I thought he was going to actually stand up for himself. But he balked at my stare and ran off. Now my friends are mad at me. I bet you're mad at me too, despite knowing why I treat him like this. Ash looked away awkwardly. I do admit I have apprehension about your methods. That caused Serena to cringe. But I have noticed that over time during our adventure he's been becoming bolder. Perhaps not from your attitude, but he's not as shy as when I first saw him. I even noticed that he went from taking your words with silence to defending himself, even if he's not challenging you. It was true. She could see it herself as well. That was why she thought he was going to do what she wanted, call her out. After she nodded, Ash resumed. Look, as a friend for both you and Trevor, my advice is to stop bullying him and just treat him better, but since there's just as much of a chance you're going to keep doing it, at the very least don't insult him when he makes a mistake. Give him support when he needs it because simply acting like a jerk will still convince others you really are one. Sniffing up snot and wiping her eyes, Serena gave Ash a weak smile. Okay. I'll treat him nicer and apologize, he smiled back. Good to hear. He hugged her close, and she hugged him back. Figuring she could use some cheering up, Ash suggested. Perhaps we could go to the beach? Serena snapped her eyes open to that. A beach? As in swimming, volleyball and gulp, wearing swimwear or a bikini. She's never gone to the coasts before, so she never actually experienced going to the beaches before or revealed so much skin to someone she considered a friend, let alone a group of strangers that meet up in such a popular area. But this could allow them to come closer. His reaction would certainly be interesting to know, and his thoughts on her body would become clear. If he went all dead brain with a halter crop top and shorts, what would a freaking bikini do? Oh okay, she uttered, willing to take the leap of faith into the unknown. It was such a nice and sunny day out. People were either conversating or sunbathing, some were surfing out on the ocean, though had to steer clear of the island with the tower because it was publicly off limits excluding trainers, and kids ran around enjoying playing with the sand or eating food. Ash stepped out, wearing black swim shorts with dark blue sides. I wonder where Serena is? The boy asked. Ash? A familiar female voice called to him. He turned and saw that Serena was goddamn hot. No longer in a ponytail, her hair flapped in the wind like a sail as she now sported a red bikini. She looked nervous and shy, slouching forward while she held one of her arms in embarrassment while the other was almost to covering her groin. Her entire face looked as red as her bikini. She even tried to use her bag to cover her butt. What do you think? Do I look good? She asked, but the response she got was Ash shouting in shock while having such a massive nosebleed he launched into the air a few feet and landing on his back, his entire form drenched in red. Ash! She cried out as the tomboy went to him. Ash opened his eyes as he woozily gazed up at his childhood friend. His worried voice sounded distant and muffled. Ash, are you okay? Are you an angel? He asked deliriously, not registering what he asked since 20% of his blood left his body within a second. Serena gasped, dare say hiccuped to what he just asked. Running off, she left him in his blood-lost daze. He moaned in a pleased state before a bucket of salt water was dumped all over him. He gasped and sat up, shaking his head to see Serena with a bucket. The two stared at each other without saying anything for a few seconds. Did I say something stupid? He asked. While she still blushed, the blonde lightly shook her head as she answered. Well, nothing like that. Say, how about you help me put this beach stuff down in my bag? Oh okay. Ash accepted, still mesmerized by her beauty. Laying a white beach towel down, he let his best friend lie down while he laid out a dark blue towel. Ash, the sun is a bit too bright for me. Can you put the umbrella up? She requested. The boy did so, letting the shadow cover down to her waist. Thanks. You're welcome. This feels so nice. So this is what a beach feels like. The blonde tomboy sighed as she stretched, unknowingly showing Ash a bit of underboob. He turned away immediately with a blush. Oh, Ash, I just realized, I don't want to be sunburned. Can you apply the sun lotion onto me? The boy gulped. This was like torture to him. Here he is, not trying to be a creep to his friend, and Serena keeps dragging him in. Popping it open and putting some of that white stuff onto his hand, he started rubbing his hands up and down on her back. She moaned in a way that made him stop, her eyes clenching closed. Is everything okay? I'm fine, Ash. Keep going. Gulping, Ash resumed with his rubbing, spreading the white liquid over her back. Ash, this feels so good. Have you done this before? No, this is my first time. Well, you're somehow great at it. Don't stop. As he kept going, he eventually went from her lower mid-back to her shoulders. Ah, yeah. That's the spot. I've been feeling stiff there, but I had no idea I needed this. Am I really doing that good of a job? Yes, I can feel my muscles relaxing so much. You're making me feel like jelly. As they kept going, Ash looked to the side and noticed that a group of people were staring at them. A teenage boy straddling his teenage female friend while spreading a white substance while she sounded more turned on than enjoying a lotion massage. Jumping back, he hastily remarked. I think I've covered enough. You can do everything else. He then ran off. Opening her eyes, Serena wondered why he left. All of a sudden she saw how many people were staring at her. She swiftly sat up while covering herself. Get lost, perverts! The tomboy screamed, causing everyone to scatter. The girl sighed in embarrassment. I guess I can see why he ditched me. I wonder where he went off to. Oh well, might as well do the rest of my body. By the time he was finished, Ash came back with strawberry ice cream cones. Here, I got us a couple of ice creams. Ah, thanks, Ash. Serena smiled in gratitude. Handing her treat, they each took a lick. But unfortunately, A piece of her cone broke and the ice cream fell into the sand between their towels. My ice cream! The blonde cried out. She could feel tears about to come out of her eyes when she saw Ash offer her his. We could share, if you'd like, he said, not looking her in the face, blushing still. Serena sat there flummoxed by his generosity when her smile came back. Thank you. And so the two licked at the ice cream together, enjoying their treat. In fact, they were enjoying it so much they were unknowingly letting their lips get closer and closer together. Just a few more licks, and they could accidentally kiss. Oh, I'm so excited. 5.4. 3. 2. 1. A frisbee collided against the back of Ash's head, resulting him bonking his forehead against Serena's, both crying out in pain. Dang it. Ow. Ah. While Serena rubbed her forehead, Ash put the remaining ice cream on his tongue, for the accident caused him to bite down on the tasting muscle. Sorry, man. A surfer dude came to them and picked up his frisbee, running back to his friends. Well, that ruined it. The female trainer groaned. Yay. He said, his hurt tongue making it hard for him to say words correctly for the moment. How about we make some sand castles, huh, Okog? For the past 30 minutes, they have made a decently sized sandcastle, complete with towers, walls and arches. Wow, our first sandcastle! Serena cheered, clasping her hands together. It does look pretty good if I say so myself. Ash agreed, his tongue having recovered. However, a tiny trumpet noise came out of said castle, confusing the builders, and archers came out to shoot sand arrows at them. They had to run yelping in pain as the arrows dug into their skin, along with little sand knights and sandhorses chasing them. How are there tiny archers and knights in there? Serena cried out. I don't know, Ash replied. In their hurry the two jumped into the ocean, where the little attackers stopped. Come on. Why? The male trainer yelled into the sky. This makes no logical sense. Well, if you think about it, the Pokemon world in general makes no sense. Serena started to explain. Why can Raiden use Surf? Ghastly can learn elemental punches despite having no arms. How does newborn Kangaskhan already have a baby in her pouch? Or Cubone already having the skull of her mother from an egg? How does water heal Pokemon more than man-made medicine? How is Magneton 10 times as heavy despite only being 3 Magnemites? The thing is to not question it and let the professors of the world handle all the nonsensical questions. But the professors are the ones who make up those rules. You do have a point. The female conceded. Man, all this logic questioning is giving me a headache, so let's get this plot rolling again. Or should I say, splashing? The two then felt as the water around them shifted, looked to the ocean and yelped as a big wave crashed down onto them, a mild surge of the sea. The two washed up onto the beach, with the knights having been caught up in the incoming water. Both sputtered from the salt water that managed to get through their noses and mouths. Are you okay, Serena? Ash inquired, concerned for her well-being. I'm fine, Ash, but, Serena replied, but the way she did so was off. Ash wondered why until he realized he washed up right on top of her, his head shading hers from the sun. But that wasn't the only thing. His left hand was feeling something. Very soft. Looking down, Ash paled to near white when he realized that his hand was right on her right breast, palm squishing it and fingers digging into the flesh. The two were frozen with so many emotions coursing through their minds, that it was hard what to say or do. Ash's hand instinctively gripped her mammary tighter, making the girl under him groan. Wah, I'm sorry. It was an accident, I swear. The terrified male yelled as he jumped back, giving her plenty of space. Before she could say anything, they heard Shauna's voice call to them. Guys? You're here at the beach too? They turned to see it was Shauna, Trevor and Karina, along with her two Lucario, also in swimwear. Shauna in a pink one-piece, Trevor in green shorts and Karina in a tube top and bikini bottom respectively. Her hair was also down in a low ponytail. What was this accident I heard? Oh, Ash accidentally tripped me when the tide came in. Yeah, that was in. Serena swiftly came up with an excuse. What are you three also doing here? Oh yeah, that tide was crazy. Nearly swept Trevor away too. But luckily Karina saved him. She's so cool. The gym leader grinned and chuckled while the short redhead blushed in embarrassment, looking away. Anyway, after finding Trevor, I suggested we go to the beach to cheer up. The ice cream was delicious. The dark-toned girl hummed in delight. Serena noticed that Trevor was avoiding eye contact with her, and the tomboy sighed. Standing up, she approached them. Trevor, I'm sorry for what I said. You're not stupid. You are smart for no, you're just smart. The blonde bit her tongue, preventing from making a backhanded compliment. I promise from now on that when you're upset, I won't double down with insults. Can you forgive me? Trevor turned and gazed into her eyes, trying to see if she meant it. Trevor, while you don't have to take my account for it, Serena is actually sorry. Ash interjected. Soon after you three left, she broke down crying. My jacket still has the tears stains to prove it. While I will admit she is blunt, I know it's not from malice. What do you think? For a few moments, after careful consideration, what he did in terms of action was unexpected. He ran and hugged her, his head reaching below her chest while his hair covered a few more inches of it. You're still my friend, Serena. I just felt really attacked back then. Serena sighed with a soft smile as she patted his back while placing her other hand above his head. I'll tone it back. I don't like seeing you cry. She and Trevor were then surprised hugged when Shauna came in and hugged them both, cheering. Yay, we're friends, ag. Trevor's hair was being compressed between the two girls, and thus bounced both girls off as they fell into the sand, the redhead sweating from what just happened. I'm sorry. He apologized to both of the fallen females, though Shauna just laughed. Maybe we should shave your head and make your hair into a beach ball. I forgot it was so bouncy. And sticky. I remember putting my hand on his head in the battle chateau, and it got stuck. Everyone except Trevor and Karina laughed, the latter lost on the context. Come on guys. The short boy complained with a blush, but a smile did grow on his face. Going over to Serena, he offered the tomboy a hand. She stared at it, surprised for a couple of seconds, before grinning and taking it, though she accidentally pulled him down due to his weak balance and strength, and that caused him to be pulled down, his face landing into her bosom. Trevor. Get off. The blonde yelled as she pushed him away from her, the shell-shocked boy falling into Shauna's arms. He got a good face full, Trev. The pink-clad girl giggled. So soft. He uttered. Whoops, I think you finally broke him, Serena. He knows how soft we are. Shauna laughed while Serena became even more flustered. Shut up. Hey Shauna, how about you go take him to the towels and make him rest from that? We'll be with you, Karina suggested. Okay. She agreed to as she dragged the star-struck boy by his armpits away. The gym leader turned to the fellow blonde as she was brushing sand off her. Hey, Serena. Yeah? You treat Trevor good, you hear? The skater pointed at the trainer. I know a thing or two about how harsh bullying is, so don't insult him again, understand? Yeah. Serena nodded. Karina nodded as well before going to the others. Ash came up to stand beside his best friend. Are you actually going to stop? Maybe. I've done it for so long it's now practically muscle memory. It's like asking a French person to not speak with a French accent. I'll help. I don't want my friends to be at odds with one another. Ash offered, giving her a smile. She returned it. Thanks. Then she remembered something. Say, can we forget about the whole splash grope thing? That was embarrassing, and if Shauna hears about it, it's staying between us. Sorry again. Serena shook her head with a smile. It's cool. Accidents happen. Once it was sunset, the whole group saw that a pathway has shown itself as the tide went low. Whoa, a path. Trevor gasped. So that's why you told us to wait and just have fun for the time being, Serena said, shocked by the cleverness of getting to the gym. Karina nodded. Yeah, it always appears during the low tide. Now let's go. Once they reached the tower, the doors opened up to reveal an old man that had long eyebrows, and a line of hair that was the only remaining left on his scalp. Hey Grandpa. Karina greeted him with a wave. I'm glad you all have made here. Hello Karina. You certainly took your time getting here than usual. That's because I was helping them getting prepared. At the rate they were going, they surely would have lost. But now everything is hunky-dory. She gave a thumbs up. He smiled. Good to see my granddaughter has been helpful to others on her journey. Come, I have a story to tell you as we enter. Come, follow me. As he turned the gym leader side, exasperated. Here we go again. The others were confused but followed anyway when they went inside. They were all flabbergasted to see a giant statue of a Mega Lucario. Amazing, Shauna remarked. I've never seen such a statue before. Trevor nodded in agreement while adjusting his glasses. It symbolizes our family friend and our bond with Lucarios and their mega form. Come on, follow me up these stairs while that I can tell you the story. The history of mega evolution began long ago on this island, way before Shalor City was founded. This young man was traveling and training with his Lucario. As he talked, the group of guests looked up and paled that it was a giant spiraling ramp, and the top seemed impossible to see. It did truly seem endless. It just kept going and 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 hey, get out of here, I said. Git. Sorry, the Energizer Bunny came in and spun around my keyboard for a bit. But anyway, the trip was long, and I don't want to bore you with all the details, so here's some of the highlights. And with the positions he slept in, they were somehow able to predict the weather. And apparently after a hangover he had no idea he previously gave a thorough explanation about how to. And how he responded to that was, at least we get to wear clothes this time. And after the incident with the alcohol-filled chocolates, he's been banned from anything alcoholic again. And then he ripped a fool's arm off because he was pestering my ancestor. He got fine in the end, so. And well, let's just say he has been afraid of turtles ever since. And alas, he'd go into a deep depression whenever his failed relationship came up. I'll never know how he managed to survive a Blastoise hydro pump to the face. And just like that, he feared slugs and cats now to go along with turtles. And somehow he taught monkeys to juggle wheels in the air. He really should have finished that down payment on the elephant. And that's when his third wife stabbed him with a fork. By the time they reached the top, 20 minutes have passed, and Karina's grandfather came up, along with the teens exhausted from the climb, including Serena this time as she slumped against a wall. Finally, she groaned. It is generally believed that what happened next is the world's first mega evolution, and from that day our family has lived here and protected this island ever since. How? Do you know? All that. History. Shauna gasped for air, slumping on her front on the ground. My ancestor kept journals of his life. He made a whole autobiography series out of it. But they don't appear to be popular because nobody believes someone could have actually done all that. Never have I regretted hearing so much stuff in my life. Ash complained to himself. Then his stomach growled. Ah, I'm so hungry. Yes, it is around time for lunch, isn't it? Let's go down to the bottom floor to have dinner. Karina's grandfather suggested, though that just scared everyone else except Karina. We have to go all the way back down? They screamed in horror. Yep. And on the way down I can talk more about my ancestor, who you might say has been the first person to be tarred and feathered. The 4 teens groaned in both physical and emotional pain that they had to go through the same torture twice. That was good. That was some tasty fish. Ash sighed as he patted his stomach. I'm glad that you like it. It's been a while that I had to cook for more than myself and Karina. Thank you, Serena and Shauna. You're welcome. Both nodded. Now then, if you're ready for your gym badge, it's time to head on up to the top again. Ah, come on. The 4 teens groaned in agony. Oh, are you 4 tired? In that case, how about we use the elevator? That made everyone stare at him, greatly annoyed. There was an elevator we could have used earlier. Ash, Serena, Shauna and Trevor respectively took turns asking that one question. The old man chuckled. You youngsters didn't ask. They all grumbled in response, not appreciating his humor. Hey, can you blame me? I'm old, so it's getting hard to walk up and down these ramps, so I had them installed. Plus it's fun talking about my ancestor. Anyway, now that we're full, let's get the gym challenge underway. The gym battle between Ash the Challenger and Karina will now begin. Ash was on one end of the battle arena at the top of the tower, which is where the gym is located. This will be a 4-on-4 match. Furthermore, only the challenger may substitute Pokémon. Ash, you can do it, Serena cheered for him. Make sure you don't lose, Shauna agreed. I can't wait to see how you'll win, Trevor followed up. Ash waved to them. Thanks guys. Gym leader Karina, come forth. On her skates, the platinum blonde-haired girl rolled in, gaining speed as she jumped onto a rail to grind across it for about the quarter of the gym's perimeter. Jumping off, she raced along the curved walls before performing a back flip over a ramp and obstacles between the two ramps. Using a giant ramp, she twirled through the air like an acrobat with her hair swishing in the wind before perfectly landing on her feet. So, we're battling for real now, huh? Our first official battle as gym leader and challenger. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this since over last week. I'm totally psyched for this. Me too, and I'll give it my all. And as an added bonus, even though gym leaders aren't allowed to mega evolve before the 5th badge, I'll make an exception with you. That's quite alright with me. Let the battle begin. Minfu, let's do it. Onto the field was a small fighting type. Predominantly colored cream and red, it was like a weasel that learned how to use Kung Fu. Greninja, I choose you. Alright Ash, show me what you've got. Karina flexed, showing off a rainbow aura of awesome to try and psyche him out, but he was undeterred. Use Power-Up Punch. With its fist glowing orange, the martial arts Pokémon charged with offensive intent. Dodge it. Thanks to Greninja's speed, she was able to dodge its attack by jumping up, but surprisingly just barely as the fist nearly thrust into one of her legs. Power-Up Punch, again. With the other fist glowing, the fighting type was able to swiftly backhand the ninja Pokémon while she was in midair above it, groaning in unexpected pain as she skidded across the ground. Huh? No way, Ash gasped. To give my team more of a chance, I'm using my Pokémon that had help with vitamins and minerals. A normal Minfu that's as strong as your Greninja would be unable to keep up, but thanks to a diet of carbs, he can keep up. Use Feint Attack. Counter with a kick. Even as the water starter disappeared, the martial arts Pokémon was quick to respond and spun to kick against the frog's own kick. Power-Up Punch. Dodge it. Thankfully, Greninja was fast enough to evade the little fighting weasel, and return to Ash's side of the field. Karina punched the air in rhythm along with Minfu. Come on Ash, we're ready for you this time. Alright, use Water Shuriken. Counter with Swift. Greninja leapt up into the air to throw multiple water projectiles, but they were countered by a barrage of glowing yellow stars. Power-Up Punch. With its glowing fist, he jumped up into the air. Use your tongue to slam him down, spinning around so that her red tongue snagged onto the surprised and grossed out enemy. Greninja was able to throw the fighting type down onto the ground. Now use Shadow Sneak. Counter with Stone Edge. Forming rocks around himself, the martial arts Pokémon fired them towards the incoming Shadow, which did stop the attack, creating an explosion. But that only created a diversion. Feint Attack. Since he didn't see where Greninja go, he couldn't tell where the water starter was until she kicked him in the back with her strong right leg. Minfu. Karina cried out in shock. Now use Water Shuriken. Forming 3 compressed shuriken made of water, she threw them at the mid-air fighting type, thus causing a watery explosion with droplets flying around. The martial arts Pokémon fell to the ground, tumbling a bit, before stopping at his owner's feet, defeated. Alright, we won. Now let's get stronger, Ash cheered as Greninja's battle bond activated, a tornado of water surrounding the water starter, augmenting her into her new form. Ash Greninja. An admittedly lazy name the fanbase or anime writers came up with. Minfu is unable to battle. Greninja's the winner. Now I can gather more data of Greninja's new form, Trevor exclaimed with great excitement. Yeah, Shauna agreed. Alright Ash, you may have the lead, but it won't stay like that. Machamp, my second Pokémon. Onto the field was now a gray-skinned, 4-armed fighting type in black speedos that had what appeared to be a champion belt. Around its neck is a black choker with a stone in the center. Machamp. It yelled. Touching her bracelet, she yelled. Machamp, unlock the power within. Mega Evolve. As the energy between them surged, Machamp not only grew several inches, its upper forearms grew thicker while the underarms became more grooved. When the blinding glow stopped, Machamp had on his upper arms what appeared to be weights made of metal, like the 10-ton ones Goku tried lifting in the Otherworld, while the underarms were wrapped in steel chains down to his body and across his back. Its legs now appeared to be colored like black pants along with metal ankle weights on its lower legs. Machamp. It shouted with power as a rainbow helix appeared over it. Yeah, now he's super strong. Try and beat that, the gym leader challenged. Oh I will. Greninja. Return. Charizard. I choose you. To everyone's delight, They got to see an awesomely rare black-scaled, red-winged flame Pokemon. He roared a stream of fire from his mouth. That is so cool, Serena gushed. Why can't there be more shiny Charizard? Shauna questioned. So epic. Trevor marveled. They Kanto Firestarter. I have to admit, even though I trained your Charmeleon to evolve into Charizard, it is pretty awesome to finally battle one in my gym. Karina was getting super stoked. In fact, it's about time that I crank the awesome up too. Hauig! The blonde gym leader screamed as she flexed and the wind blew from behind her, her rainbow aura growing even bigger while electricity crackled around her. Her helmet once again broke to pieces and the hairband so it could grow to its full, powerful volume, once again resembling Super Saiyan 3. Machamp posed in conjunction with her awesome transformation. Use Stone Edge. Forming orbs around himself, the superpower Pokemon created stones from nowhere before firing them at the flying type. Fly up! Flapping his wings, Charizard evaded the incoming rocks. Keep using Stone Edge, Karina ordered. But try as he might, he just didn't have the speed to keep up with the faster starter as the rocks smashed into the ceiling. Flame burst. Forming a ball of fire from his mouth, the sphere then exploded into fragments which exploded around Machamp, including his face, causing the fighting, steel type to yell in pain as he covered his face with his lower hands, falling to a knee while his upper arms supported him. Now use Wing Attack. His wings glowing white, Charizard flew down towards the mega-evolved superpower Pokemon, and slammed into his large back, making the four-armed Pokemon cry out in discomfort. Yeah. Now, Ash and Charizard were caught off guard when a hand covered in a red outline caught Charizard's tail. He tried to pull his way free but the grip was too strong. Keeping the fire starter from escaping, Machamp roared with power as he seemed to have grown stronger. Yeah, that's Machamp's guts ability. Now that you've got him, use Payback. Glowing white above his red outline, the superpower Pokemon gave the flame Pokemon an ultra-powerful double right hook. Charizard couldn't even make a noise as he was knocked out straight the moment the fists connected, and he soared past Ash as he smashed into the back wall, leaving an indent of his body in there. Charizard is unable to battle. The winner is Machamp. Aw man, that was way too quick. Trevor moaned in disappointment. Yeah, if only Charizard had a long-range flying attack. Serena sighed. Yeah, now we're even, Karina cheered, though as the burn took effect of hurting him, Machamp groaned as he fell onto his back, reverting back to normal. Ma. Chomp, he weakly groaned. I'm not so sure about that now. Ash chuckled. As both sides returned their Pokemon, they sent their next Pokemon out. Hawlucha, let's do it. Greninja, I choose you. Hawlucha looked like what a hawk-based lucha libre Mexican fighter, only it's more of a humanoid hawk with predominantly red and green feathers. Mega Stone was strapped in on some leather headgear. Hawlucha, unlock the power within. Mega Evolve. During the blindingly bright transformation, it may seem like all that was happening was Hawlucha growing more feathers and getting taller. Once he could be properly seen, the wrestling Pokemon now had orange feathers growing around his eyes and behind his head like fire, and the inside of his feathered wings now resembled the Mexican flag. He even had a belt similar to Machamp's. He only grunted as a rainbow DNA helix hovered over him for a second. That's the most Mexican thing I've ever seen, Shauna commented. The others nodded. Alright Hawlucha, use Flying Press. Jumping up, Hawlucha spread himself out to take a leaping crash into Greninja. Smokescreen. The ninja Pokemon unraveled her tongue so as not to taste the black smoke that she regurgitated from her mouth, obscuring the field as the wrestling Pokemon plunged right in. Flap the smoke away. Using his great wings, the fighting, flying type was able to swish the smoke off the field, but Greninja was still hidden. Shadow Sneak. From behind, Hawlucha was bashed onto his front from the well-timed ghost attack, crying out from shock. Stone Edge towards where that attack came from. Forming rocks, the wrestling Pokemon fired them where he thought she was, but the water starter was not there as the stones hit the wall. He growled in annoyance. Up above, Hawlucha looked up as he saw Greninja high in the air, having jumped there. Power-up punch. His right fist glowing orange, he jumped high into the air. Water Shuriken. Forming a large 4-point shuriken from her back, she threw at the incoming enemy, who was forced to punch early to counter the attack. Forming two more, Greninja launched them at Hawlucha, his eyes widening in fear as he was pushed back down, overwhelmed by the continual attacks. One more up close. Creating one more Fuma Shuriken, the ninja Pokémon fell as she prepared to strike, and thus slashed into the fallen wrestling Pokémon's back, dealing heavy damage as he howled in agony. He didn't have to suffer too long for he fainted from the pain. Hawlucha is unable to battle. The winner is Greninja. So it's finally time, Serena said, now seeing that they've reached the climax. I wonder if this will be like before? Traver wondered. Return, Hawlucha. You did great. Thanks. Lucario, let's did. Once her ace Pokémon came out, wearing the red bracelet that contained his stone. Lucario, unlock the power within. Mega Evolve. After doing a couple of kicks, she touched her special key stone which was on the back of her left glove. That was when Mega Lucario appeared after the transformation sequence. That's it. Just the transformation I've been waiting for. Greninja, Water Shuriken. Forming a 4-star shuriken of water behind her, she threw it, the spinning projectile splitting off into a total of 3. Counter with Aura Sphere. To everyone's surprise, the evolved jackal created a sphere of fighting energy and then spammed 3 from his palms, each taking the incoming attacks out with powerful explosions. Wow! Ash cried out. This isn't the same Lucario you've been practicing with before. This one can use ranged attacks, and can move even faster than my first Lucario. Karina boasted. The trainer growled as he continued. Use feint attack. Jumping up, the ninja Pokémon disappeared. Track him and use close combat. Quick, counter with Water Shuriken. As soon as Lucario struck, his fist was blocked by the same Fuma Shuriken, which Greninja used one end like a sword handle. Growling, the Aura Pokémon continued, trying to smash his way through her defense, but she was able to parry each of his blows, if just barely. Keep it up. Try to trip him up. When Lucario tried blitzing behind her to deliver a haymaker of a punch, she swiped her Fuma Shuriken around his fist went through the center, and jerked it around, forcing the Aura Pokémon to lost his balance as he growled in surprise. In that split second, Greninja jumped and kicked into his stomach area, causing him to cough in pain as he tumbled across the battlefield before rolling back onto his feet, recovered. Incredible. Even with my second Lucario's faster speed, your Greninja's more agile. However, your ace is clearly at a disadvantage. One clear hit, and she's down for the count. Then I guess we'll just have to be extra sneaky. Greninja, smokescreen. That won't work. Aura Sphere. The gym leader commanded. And Lucario was able to indeed form and fire an Aura Sphere by the time the ninja Pokémon unraveled her tongue to breath it out. Dodge with feint attack, disappearing. The attack missed but it simply started to hone in on Greninja's location. No use dodging it. Unless it's destroyed by a Water Shuriken it'll hit your Pokémon. Are you sure about that? Ash questioned with a grin. Instead of appearing behind Lucario like expected, she appeared right in front of him, using her unraveled tongue to smack him in the face. He grunted in surprise as the saliva blinded him, and he wasn't currently tracking auras so he failed to notice Greninja leap over him for the incoming Aura Sphere to him. Ah! Lucario, Aura Sphere in front and behind. Even blinded he knew what to do as the blue jackal turned and thrust his arms out to the sides with ready Aura Spheres, the left stopping the first and the second to try and hit Greninja. Water Shuriken. With the water starter dodging his attack, she formed Fuma Shuriken of water in each arm, and slashed at him a total of 4 times in rapid succession. He howled with each strike. No! Karina yelled, now fearful for her Pokémon. And as the third Aura Sphere was coming back, she jumped up at the last second so that the 3 orbs of fighting energy finally exploded, a powerful shockwave blowing through the arena. Everyone braced against it, though Trevor ultimately fell back with a yell due to the push being too great. Greninja landed on the ground on all 4s, crouching and ready in case there was more. As the dust settled, there lay Mega Lucario. But instead of reverting back to normal, he tried to get up, however tough the struggle is. How did he survive that? The point-blank explosions of 3 Aura Spheres should have finished him. Ash commented. It seemed that through sheer force of will, Lucario would not fall, wanting to with for Karina no matter what. He growled as the adrenaline pumped through his veins. Lucario. The blonde skater said, grateful for how hard he was pushing for her. Looks like we got just enough to finish this. This is incredible. Serena gulped. I wonder if this is the actual secret of mega evolution. Even when pushed to the point of defeat, they just simply won't give up. Trevor hypothesized, trembling where he stood. But I must say, Ash, your Greninja's quickness and fierce precision is something most admirable. Your Lucario's no slouch either. Even as we outspeed and attack, he can perfectly keep up and take it. Mega Lucario is such an awesome Pokemon. Thanks, but now it's time to end this battle. Use Aura Sphere, up close. Same thing. Water Shuriken, up close. Each Pokemon formed their signature attack within their hand-like appendages before leaping at each other. Within seconds, the two clashed as the moves pushed into each other, fighting for dominance. Come on Lucario, let's show them how awesome we are together. Karina screamed with extreme vigor as her hair charged wild with power and the wind started to blow like crazy, her awesome epicness shooting through the roof. Greninja, let's prove it. Prove that we are stronger, stronger still, Ash yelled as he stood his ground, withstanding before their combined power of awesome. Ah, it's too awesome, Trevor cried out, blinding by all the light and dust that was being produced in this fight. Take cover, Shauna shouted as she grabbed her friends and pulled them down. Ah, Karina screamed. Ah, Ash returned just as strong. Ah. Now instead of alternating between them, it's just the two yelling as the power began to overwhelm everything. Ah. Due to their awesome power, the Earth couldn't take any more and exploded into chunks, and all the planets within the solar system spiral out of. Oh wait, I'm getting too carried away with the awesome, aren't I? Let's rewind this a bit. Returning a few seconds back to the two trainers just yelling with their overcompensating awesomeness. The two moves did eventually explode, but not enough to obliterate the solar system, but just enough to crater the battlefield. and break all the glass within the top of the Tower of Mastery. Shauna, Trevor and Serena peeped up from their spot to see that there was a giant cloud of dusty debris. Ash and Karina just stood where they were, panting from all the yelling and awesomeness they were doing. Eventually the dust did settle to show that the two Pokémon, standing in crater where the battlefield was. Their backs were to each other, waiting for the other to fall. After a few seconds, Greninja lost strength in one knee and began to fall, causing Lucario to grin. Bust just as she was going to faceplant, her right leg caught her, and he noticed before grunting as his transformation wore off and he collapsed onto the ground. Karina's grandfather, who somehow went through the whole thing without the dust or surprise to show for it, declared, "Lucario is unable to battle. Greninja wins, which means the match goes to Ash the challenger." He couldn't believe it. He won this. He smiled as the victory set in and he ran to his starter, whom reverted back to normal. "Amazing Greninja. We totally out-awesomed them," he celebrated. She chuckled from his enthusiasm. "Congratulations Ash, you did it," Serena cheered as she ran to him, hugging him tight. "That was the most stunning, astounding, astonishing, stupendous, incredible, unbelievable, spectacular, remarkable, mind-boggling and blowing and terrific battle I've ever seen in my life," Shauna listed off in her extreme hyperness as she hugged him as well. "I'll never forget that display of power. So much data it almost blew my mind, like literally," Trevor commented with a huge smile. "Thanks guys." He nodded. Greninja nodded as well. "You battled so epically Lucario. I'm so proud." He groaned in appreciation. Picking him up by slinging his right arm around her shoulders, they walked to the happy trainers. "That was the greatest battle I've ever had. Thank you Ash," she told him. "You're welcome. If only it could have lasted longer." "Indeed. But I still have my duties to perform. Ash, this badge proves your victory as the Shalor Gym. The Rumble badge. Congrats." She handed him a badge which was two boxing gloves striking against each other. "Thanks a lot. How about you sleep here for tonight? This battle left me exhausted." "Hee, you bet. I sure could go for a nice long rest." Ash laughed, followed by everyone doing so. After Ash has won his battle, and also after Serena and Shauna won their respective battles, it was after sunset that the group were standing outside the Tower of Mastery with Karina sending them off. "You all are so strong. I could feel how powerful you all were, along with the bond of your Pokémon. I may have lost 3 times in a row, but you all have earned the right to wield Mega Evolution properly. Here." She handed the 4 ME bracelets. "Huh, I was thinking there would only be one," Shauna commented, observing her new wrist accessory. "One, please." The gym leader scoffed. "We have a closet full of them, ready to hand out to anyone who has earned the right. It's the Mega Stones that's the hard part. Most people have only 1 or 2, with gym leaders, Elite 4 members and the champion having 6. But since you have practically all the stones, there's no Mega Evolution beyond your grasp. Oh, Ash. For making our match the most awesome that I've ever had, let me give you a gift." Letting out the Lucario that fought Ash, Karina spoke to it. "Lucario, would you like to go with Ash?" The Blue Jackal gasped. "Unlike your sibling, you have always wanted to go out and explore the whole region. I think Ash is the one who can bring that dream to realization for you." "Are you sure you want to give me your Lucario?" Ash asked, feeling conflicted. "You said you grew up with him. We even watched a whole montage about how you grew up involving an ice cream." "Oh, don't worry about it. I have a whole bunch of Riolu and Lucario for the gym challenges depending on badge number. Let me show you." Putting her fingers to her mouth, she gave a high-pitched whistle in which soon, over a half-dozen of Emanation and Aura Pokémon. Brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, all the family relative labels you can think of all sort of levels came to her, shocking the trainers. "So Lucario, what do you think? You want to leave with him, explore the region like you wished?" It took a moment, but Lucario grunted with a smile and thanks. Karina nodded as she pressed the button on her Pokeball. And he glowed blue to show he was released, momentarily. "Here, you can catch him now." Thanks Karina." Ash gratefully accepted as he tapped Lucario, and had the high-tech sphere wobble a few times in his hand before it clicked, before teleporting away. "One more thing," the skater girl said before grabbing the back of his head, and kissing Ash almost on the lips. Just the edges touched while her lips touched his left cheek. Serena and Shauna were both shocked and enraged she stole a kiss, even if it wasn't on the lips. As soon as she stopped kissing the stunned boy, she chuckled. "Come back soon. All right, let's go before the tide goes up again," Serena strongly recommended before grabbing Ash's right arm. "Yeah, I'm tired of this beach anyway," Shauna agreed, grabbing Ash's left. "But it won't go up for another." "Shut it, Trevor." Both girls snapped as they dragged Ash away from Karina, whom only giggled from witnessing all this. As they dragged Ash back to the Pokemon Center, he finally realized what was happening and freed himself from their grips. Wait, what are we doing here? Where's Karina?" "Forget about her, Ash. It's time to continue our journey," the angry blonde tomboy answered, which only confused him. "But why? I haven't said goodbye." That rhymed. Trevor chuckled. "Be that as it may, she just kissed you out of nowhere." "But why should that mean we just leave?" He was beginning to sound both perplexed and annoyed. "It's just a girl thing, Ash." Shauna tried to cover up sweetly. "Now how about we get some dessert for our victories today?" "You're not answering my question," Ash complained when Trevor thought of something. "Oh, I know. The girl thing must be their time of the—" Serena dumped Ash onto her female best friend and got into the redhead's face, her own face boiling red as she growled. "Don't you freaking finish that sentence, Trevor." She was so scary he squeaked with fright and hid behind a bench away from her. "Stop," Ash yelled, bringing everyone's attention to him. "What the heck is going on? I'm so confused it's starting to become out of character for me. What's the problem?" Looking between her complaining best friend, her surprised female friend and the hiding yet observing redhead, Serena groaned while shoulders. Might as well be honest with you, or else we'll just keep fighting about it. Shauna and I were jealous." "Jealous? For what?" "For taking your kiss, Ash. We wanted to kiss you." That stumped the raven-haired trainer. "Kiss me? Why, what? As in the both of you?" "Yeah. Call it a girly crush or something, but we've been, quote unquote, fighting for your affection." Serena air quoted that part. "Why would you two fight over me?" Ash just kept getting more and more confused. "Because we really like you," Shauna replied, looking anxious now. "I'm sorry that we weren't honest. It wasn't even anything official between us, since we never made a bet on who would win you or anything like that. We never saw you as a trophy. We just that we wanted to make you happy. And then Karina just straight up kissed you, likely knowing that we had the hots for you." Serena growled as she punched her left palm. "So that's what you were jealous about?" Ash gasped in realization. "So, what do you think?" Shauna inquired, her face conflicted with emotions. Thinking about it for a minute, Ash indeed came up with something. "Well, why can't it be the both of you?" Of any answer the three of them were expecting. "You're willing to have both of us?" Serena gaped. "Why?" That he had to think of it more. "Well, I guess the reason is that I want the both of you to be happy. I don't want either of you to feel sad and rejected because of me." "What, is it not legal here in Kalos?" "No, there hasn't been any religious or political actions to make it illegal. It's just unorthodox. One girlfriend or wife is usually enough since more than one is hard," Shauna pointed out. Ash shrugged. "We could just give it a shot. I don't see why not. I'd imagine in some other world or universe an oppressive religion or close-minded politicians made it illegal, but in this one most people strive for the betterment of everything. The whole world is basically very positive." They then glanced at us for a few smug seconds before resuming. "And wouldn't a relationship like ours show that we're capable of showing we can make it work? Kalos is the region of love after all." The two girls looked at each other for a few seconds before smiling and nodding. "All this catty cliché stuff between us really isn't my thing," the dark-toned girl shrugged. "Okay, Ash. We'll share you. But if you decide to back out I will pummel you, even if you're my best friend now boyfriend." Serena chuckled as she raised a loose fist, partially joking. Shauna giggled as well. "Yeah. This is going to be so much fun," the dark-toned girl cheered as she hugged Ash. "Wow. A polyamory relationship," Trevor commented. "This will make for interesting data for the romance community." The short red head started to write stuff down. Serena slung an arm around her boyfriend's shoulders. "So, what do you want to do now that you've got two girlfriends, Mr. Casanova?" A rumbling of a stomach answered her. How about dinner? Ash awkwardly laughed, amused by the timing. Okay, my treat. I know the rest of you don't have a solid income like I do. Yay, thanks Serena, Shauna expressed gratefully. I have to admit Ash, it's amazing someone like you came to the Kalos region and ended up traveling with us, Serena remarked. Yeah, this journey has been so much fun, Shauna agreed. It's like destiny. Well, I don't know about destiny or not, but it has been pretty great, Ash said with a smile. And I imagine it's going to be better from here on out. And so the four had dinner together, and slept the night in the Pokemon Center. In the morning, they left Shalor City and soon came across the Azure Bay on Route 12. It was there they encountered a guy who attracted their attention. Hey, I need to tell you guys something. He showed them a Pokeball. I have 3 Pokemon that saved me from 3 separate situations. I have this Lapras that once saved me from drowning. I have this Altaria that saved me when my parachute failed, and I have a Gabite who saved me from a sandstorm. I feel bad though. I can't afford to travel around and show them the world beyond these parts. But wait, how did you come across an Altaria and Gabite then? Serena questioned. I was tagging along with friends during expeditions, and that has ended a short time ago. I was wondering if you could accept these Pokemon. Oh my gosh, yes. The blonde girl accepted. She then turned to her friends. Okay, let's rock paper scissors for them. First winner gets Garbite, second gets Altaria and last gets Lapras. Ready? Yeah. Her 2 friends agreed. In order, Ash got Gabite, Serena got Altaria and Shauna got Lapras. Yay. I wanted the Lapras anyway. I was needing a water type in my team. And it's another shiny to boot, Shauna celebrated. At least Mega Altaria can provide a decent check to Ash's Garchomp when he evolves. Serena sighed. My own Gabite. We're going to make it far. Heading back to Shalor City, Ash replaced his Diggersby with Gabite, same with Serena and her Diggersby for Altaria, and Shauna swapped her Skitty with her shiny Lapras. The entire day after that was spent capturing every Pokemon on the bay. Ash caught a Tauros and Heracross, Serena caught Exegcute, Miltank and Pinsir while Shauna caught a Slowpoke, Chatot, Pachirisu. Trevor got a Tentacool, Mantike and Lovedisk. After a long day of catching Pokemon, the group of teens slept at the Skiddo Ranch before eventually reaching Coumarine City by late morning. It was interesting to see that the section that they walked into was a port with a bunch of speedboats. Although, it appeared that to get to the place they had to take the monorail. And who should they find there? Professor Sycamore and Diantha Bellares, and Sycamore was not happy as he yelled as the disturbed champion. How could you lie to me? All of you. I spent a quarter of my life researching Mega Evolution and all it is a power boost and nothing more? Professor, what has become of you? This isn't who you are. My whole profession was a lie. How'd I even tell who I am anymore? Sycamore went from mad to depressed in an instant. What was I? Just some stupid womanizer who had a dream so you all pitied me by giving me a research field that had nothing deep to it? Professor, despite our prank you have found data that's more than just boosted power. You've done the world good along with Lysander. Sycamore scoffed while blowing some unkempt greasy hair out of his face. Oh, I told Lysander all about it. He's disgusted with you all, leading me on for so long. A prank? Don't you try to downplay your sick joke. A year or 2 might have been fine if a bit dirty, but 25? Were you all only planning on telling me when I was on my deathbed or something? Or not at all? Look, I'm sorry we did this for too long. But don't blame them all though. Not all of them were tricking you for 25 years. But they could have told me as soon as they knew. What is wrong with you people? Spitting at her feet, he pushed past his protégés, too angry to even register they were there. Augustus. Diantha said his name in sorrow. She then noticed the teens. Oh, how long have you been there? I'm so sorry you had to see that. Despite her apology, Trevor was devastated. Aw man. I wish I hadn't told the professor about what you guys knew about Mega Evolution. Diantha sighed with her eyes closed. No, it's our fault for letting a prank go on for so long. And even then it's not as simple as he claims, but he's not willing to listen. He was just always so amusing if perverted. We gave him the job and dream of researching Mega Evolution so that he'd stop flirting with every pretty woman constantly. I hope he can get over this okay. Shauna expressed worry for the professor. Yes. I should be going now. He caught me here unexpected and I was supposed to do a movie scene at the docks. Excuse me. Diantha left the teenagers there in the station. How about we just go then? Ash suggested, not sure how to talk about this. The others quietly agreed as they took the monorail to the gym, though the ride and walk after were uncomfortable and silent of chatter. By the time they reached the gym, they were amazed by what was inside. It was a white birch tree the thickness of a Montezuma cypress tree. There are climbing ropes, platforms, safety nets and what looked like a giant hole which was presumably near the top. Once again Serena had to carry Trevor on her back because he couldn't climb the ropes at all, though it was more difficult for her than stairs since she wasn't used to rope climbing either. By the time they finally reached the top, it was a whole battlefield surrounded plants, a greenhouse and an assortment of books. Oh, new challengers? A friendly old voice attracted their attention. They turned to see a short old man about Trevor's height, wearing clothes one would expect a gardener would wear. Wow, this is an impressive battlefield. Ash marveled the atmosphere. I've never seen a field like this before, Serena commented. You certainly couldn't have a better grass-type field than this. Why thank you. The name is Ramos Martin. Which one of you would wish to battle with me? After another round of rock paper scissors, Serena won. I'm going first, Serena Burton. This will be my 4th badge. Nice to meet you, Serena. But first, let's have some green tea. I always have a spot of tea before a battle. Not my cup of tea, pardon the pun. The tomboy giggled. But all right. Once the tea has been served, they all took a sip, though Trevor accidentally burnt his tongue and needed some medical aid. That tea was delicious. Thank you, Serena said to the gym leader. You're welcome. It's nice to see trainers who don't rush to have a battle. If one keeps a clear head and looks past the immediate problem, then you'll be able to see what to do. How very sage-like, Shauna observed. Well, I am a humble old man. Anyway, Serena, I'm ready to start our battle now. Once the 2 battlers were in place and the others sitting by the table eating biscuits while drinking tea, the male gardener stepped forth as the referee. The Coumarine Gym battle between Ramos the gym leader and Serena the challenger will now get underway. Both trainers will use 4 Pokemon, and only the challenger may substitute Pokemon. Let the battle begin. Jumpluff, let's go. Ramos sent out a grass, flying type which was a blue sphere-like Pokemon with 3 giant balls of fluff like one would see on a dandelion. Foxy, I choose you. Serena sent out her fire starter. Use Sunny Day. Ramos went first. Spreading its arms wide while shouting, it caused the sunlight shining through the hole in the ceiling to shine brighter. Flamethrower. Serena ordered. With her wand, the shiny fox Pokemon produced a stream of fire that was augmented by the enhanced sunlight, but the cottonweed Pokemon effortlessly dodged it. No, it must have chlorophyll. Indeed. Now use acrobatics. Zooming around the field fast enough to leave 2 afterimages, the grass type rammed itself into the fire, psychic type, dealing her damage. She grunted from the impact, but she was far from done. Acrobatics again. Foxy, use flamethrower around yourself. Twirling the wand in her hand, she spun her flamethrower around herself like fire spin, which Jumpluff was too fast to stop in time as she burned up in the tornado of fire. Passing through, it crashed into the ground, defeated. Jumpluff is unable to battle. Foxy is the winner. Yeah, Foxy. Now let's show him we can get stronger. Serena yelled with vigor as her starter began to transform within the flame, and then blew it outwards with her mage-like transformation. Battle Bond activated. Ash remarked with joyful thrill. Trevor was already recording data and writing notes with heavy interest. Thanks, Jumpluff. Now get yourself a good rest. Well, I'll be. I wasn't expecting an evolution without a Mega Stone. Yeah, and we're going to win this match together, the blonde tomboy declared. Let's see how much I can hold on against a whippersnapper like you. Victory Bell. Let's go. This grass, poison type looks like a yellow bell-shaped fly trap with a mouth at the top. It also had a life orb on. Use Solar Beam. Counter with Flamethrower. The leaves on Victory Bell started glowing neon green, and thanks to the sun got the extra power it needed to fire right then and there with little preparation while Foxy managed to create more fire. But the fiery attack even with the sun was no match for the raw power of Solar Beam, and was pushed aside as the grass move exploded against the fire starter, forcing Serena to brace against the shock wave. What power? Ash gasped. I wonder what she'll do. Trevor nodded. Now, use sludge bomb. From its mouth it expelled clumps of brown sludge. Counter with Psyshock. From the smoke came little purple orbs of psychic energy which exploded against the poisonous offense, surprising Ramos. Now use Flamethrower. A blast of fire rushed towards, catching the Flycatcher Pokémon off guard as it was flammed by the torrent. When it was over, there stood a grass, poison type that had fainted and fell forward. Victory Bell is unable to battle. The winner is Foxy. Your Pokémon is certainly a heavy hitter, but let's see if this will work. Here we go. Gogoat. This Pokémon is like a ram, only the fleece it has is made out of leaves. Horn Leech. The horns on Gogoat's head glowed green before they shot forward and latched onto the surprised fox Pokémon, and groaned from having her health sapped. HMPH, Flamethrower. Her wand, Foxy used the same attack to blast the Mount Pokémon, whom was down again. Oh geez. This is very worrisome indeed. Ramos was starting to sweat. Hey Ramos, if you need to use your Mega Evolved Pokémon I'll allow it. It looks like I'll easily beat whatever fourth Pokémon you were planning. That's awfully kind of you to allow me that. Alright then, I'll accept. However, the weakest Pokémon I have for this is stronger than a 4th level challenge, so don't cry if this is suddenly too difficult, Whippersnapper. An assistant handed him a certain Pokéball in exchange for his Trevenant. Don't worry about me, take your best shot. Alright then. Venusaur, let's go. To their surprise, especially Shauna, this gym leader also had a Kanto grass starter. Hey, that's just like mine. The happy-go-lucky girl gasped with a smile. It wore a head accessory containing the Mega Stone. Surpass Evolution Venusaur. Mega Evolve. Touching the key stone in his shears, Venusaur began to glow with rainbow colors as it gained a lot of bulk and the plants on its back bloomed even more than before. In the end, Venusaur now had more leaves growing on its back and a pink flower on its wide forehead. A rainbow helix hovered over its head for a second. Venusaur. Well then, let's see how well your Venusaur can take Flamethrower to the face. On cue, Foxy blasted the grass, poison type in the face, and it appeared to have worked. But Serena lost her smile when she saw that Venusaur, while a little burnt, wasn't hurt too bad. Thanks to thick fat, fire and ice type moves are half as effective. Sludge Bomb. Psyshock. Once again it was a battle of poison and psychic type attacks, but this time the sludge bombs were overpowering Foxy's counter, and eventually she was overwhelmed by the exploding sludge. Foxy. Serena cried out. Falling back, Foxy reverted back to normal. Foxy is unable to battle. The winner is Venusaur. Foxy, return. You did amazing. Rest up now. Swapping her Pokémon, she chuckled. Well, while fire and ice attacks may not work, I know flying will still work. Archeops, I choose you. Something akin to a feathered dinosaur was brought out onto the field, flapping in the air, and screeching her name. Tapping one of the stones on her wrist, Serena shouted. Surpass Evolution. Mega Evolve. The choker around Archeops' neck began to glow as she evolved. Her feathers and tail grew longer as the fossil Pokémon now looked much more ferocious and dinosaur-like. Acrobatics. With even faster speed than Foxy was traveling at, the first bird Pokémon was now traveling at a speed Venusaur couldn't hope to tag into. It was tagged in the side by the super effective damage, pushing it despite the grass, poison type's heavy weight. It made a loud groan type of cry from the sheer discomfort. Giga Drain. Ramos pleaded. Dragon Claw. Even when the seed Pokémon tried draining its foe of her health, she easily evaded its neon beams while her claws glowed green, and then slashed Venusaur's head, dealing the final blow as the Kanto starter reverted back to normal and collapsed fully on the ground. Venusaur is unable to battle. The winner is Archeops, which means the victor is Serena Burden. Yes. I knew we could do it, Archeops. Serena cheered as her Pokémon devolved back to normal and chirped as she was hugged. Yay! Way to go, Serena. Shauna congratulated her friend. You're awesome, Ash complimented, and Foxy too, Trevor added. Venusaur, return. You did great. Take a nice rest. Well, Serena, that was fantastic, for a whippersnapper. The gym leader complimented the tomboy. This battle was interesting, Even if I did handily won, she giggled. Well, that's mighty fine. Here's proof of your victory. The plant badge. Ramos presented a badge that looked like a leaf. Thank you. Wait, how do we get down? There's a slide. That way you can go down with a bit of fun. Ooh, a slide. I want to go first, Shauna called dibs. So where to next, Trevor? Ash asked the short redhead. Back to Lumios. Now hold on, whippersnappers. Ramos caught their attention. Tomorrow is the Pledge Festival. It's something that started back in the early 1500s when Coumarine City was founded. The first half of the day is dedicated to giving thanks to the Pokemon they've been living with up to the current moment, while the later half at sunset is for the people who may want to pledge something for each other. Something of our own personal spin to Lumios City's Festival of Love in February. Our greatest landmark aside from the monorail is the pledging tree right over there. He pointed out of a window where a massive tree was seen, around 450 years old. This sounds wonderful, Serena remarked, sparkles in her eyes. What do you say, Ash? How about we go on a date? Shauna asked the trainer. A chance to romantically hang out with both his female friends? He smiled. Sure. Making sure to wake up early in the morning tomorrow, the group were discussing what to do. So, what shall we do? Ash pondered. We could go shopping for gifts for our Pokemon, Shauna recommended. The shopping area was before we rode the monorail. Great idea. Trevor agreed. I think I'll just stay here and make some gifts of my own though. Just to show that I really value my Pokemon. Sounds good. You two ready? The raven-haired teen asked his female friends. Yep. They said as the three walked out of the Pokemon Center. Threesome relationships. I wonder how well this will go, Trevor pondered. So, what do you think you're going to get, Foxy? Ash asked the tomboy. Maybe a good quality stick. Or a witch hat. I don't know. Something that will make her look nice and spooky in the good way. I'm going to get all my Pokemon all the cutest gifts that I can find, Shauna declared. Nothing but the best. Let's keep things to a budget. The blonde nervously giggled. My parents are well off, but we don't want to get too expensive. Once they got on the monorail, the three once again took the time to enjoy the view of the ocean side of the city. It's so beautiful, Serena marveled, moving closer to Ash. So did Shauna. They all blushed with the close proximity of each other as they all said, awesome. Down in the shopping area, the girls were having a blast. Serena was taking into heavy consideration on what to get. This silver fedora will look nice on Blastoise. Ooh, I want this tiara and cape for Gardevoir, Shauna called out. Oh, a paper fan might be nice for Floette, Ash considered. Oh, and this visor for Greninja. Eventually, they've all gotten what they wanted under €150 and headed to where everyone was going at sunset, the pledging tree. Gifts of all kinds were being laid out like it was Christmas. Hey Trevor, we're back, Shauna called to the redhead. Oh, hey guys. You'll never guess what I did for my Pokemon, the short teen laughed. What would that be? A personal drawing of all my Pokemon on hand. You can draw? Serena questioned, having never seen him do anything artistic. When I lived with my sister, she taught me how to draw stuff good. Here. Handing them a drawing, they were amazed that it featured all his Pokemon. Raiden, Talonflame, Floette, Aerodactyl, Tyrantrum and Roselia. Wow Trevor. This is so good, Shauna complimented. This could go into an art museum if there was one around, Ash commented. You certainly know how to catch every detail, Serena whistled. Tyrantrum was quite difficult due to his size, but one can't be a good data recorder if they can't draw what they see. Trevor chuckled in pride. Anyway, how did shopping go? Everything went great. We have all that we need. While they were talking, Ash's stomach began to growl. Oh yeah, I haven't eaten anything since breakfast, he laughed. Then let's go get some dinner, Shauna suggested excitedly, and they had a dinner worthy of celebration. Fried chicken, sandwiches, French fries and spaghetti. That was delicious. It was certainly nicer than our average dinner. Trevor agreed before burping. Oh, excuse me. Please, that's not how you burp. This is, guzzling down her soda. Serena waited a few seconds before giving off a huge belch for 5 seconds. Everyone was flabbergasted by her shameless display until her fellow females started laughing her guts out. Oh my goodness. How unladylike of you, Serena. Huh. That's because I'm a tomboy, the blonde stated, and everyone resumed having fun. After dinner, they headed over to the pledging tree and placed their gifts at the trunk. After the tree was lit and all the Pokemon had received all their gifts, the only thing left were the fireworks as they exploded in the sky, everyone watching in wonder. For the people you guys are wondering about, Ash, Serena and Shauna were sitting together slightly away from everyone else. I've never seen fireworks in person before. Shauna sighed, so colorful and pretty. It is pretty cool. Serena agreed. And to think I get to watch this with my closest friends, Ash stated. The girls giggled as she snuggled up to him. Actually, I have gotten a couple of gifts for you too. As Ash dug into his bag, the girls paid close attention when he said that, remembering he went off to get a couple of things which he kept quiet about. Shauna, for being the friendliest person I know in this new region for me, I got you these. He handed her a bouquet of flowers, an assortment of purple, white and yellow flowers. Fleur-de-lis flowers. Wow, Ash. Thank you. She hugged the flowers while sniffing them. And for you, Serena. The Kanto-born boy handed his childhood friend a picture, and it made the blonde gasp, as she brought a hand to her mouth while tears appeared in her eyes. It was a picture of when they were 6 years old, standing together with the biggest smiles and brightest eyes. The picture was framed in floral-themed silver gilded frame and a caption that said, "Best friends forever." Serena tried not to cry despite the tears of compassion escaping from her eyes. Serena, is something wrong? Ash asked, but Shauna giggled. She's just never gotten a sentimental present before. Shut up. The tomboy protested with an annoyed look. It's just, really nice. Her irritation quickly deflated as she gazed down at the picture. I kept the original photo on me all this time. I've missed you through all these years. This journey has been more fun than I could possibly imagine because you were there with me. Ash then turned to Shauna. And you too. Even if I've only known you a short while in comparison, you're super nice and fun. You might be a little too hyper, but I don't really have a problem with that. The dark-toned girl giggled some more. You make me so happy, and Serena and Trevor too. I promise you, Ash, that I'll be there for you 100%. Me too. Serena agreed as she wiped away her tears. I'll do anything for you as well. Thanks, guys. Even if it's unorthodox, I promise I'll do my best for the both of you. To cement their promise, they took turns to kiss each other. Ash and Serena. Their kiss had a sense of passion, like this was in the making for the past 10 years. Strong and splendid. Ash and Shauna. Their kiss was much softer, like they just wanted to savor the moment, letting it wash over their minds and imprint into their memories so that it would never be forgotten. Once they were done kissing, the three official lovers smiled as they looked up to the sky to watch more of the fireworks. You do know, Shauna, and I will get you something as well. It's not fair you got us something and we didn't for you, Serena commented. I know. I hope you got something for Trevor too. I don't want him to feel neglected. I got him a journal of sorts. Okay. No more words were said as they sat together, enjoying the night. It was crazy. 1 second, they were leaving Coumarine City the next day, a place that had vegetation, game, and people. But the next second it's now Mad Max with sand, arid landscape and an unbearable sun. How did the atmosphere change so much? Ash complained. We only left the city like 20 feet past the gate. You'd think for something as drastically different as a whole new biosphere we'd notice the difference from within the city, Trevor pointed out as he opened his jacket. Good thing I have sunscreen on hand. Serena gave some to her friends before applying it to herself. As they walked south to Lumoise City, they eventually found what appeared to be a power plant to the west. Hey, what's that over there? Shauna pointed out to its direction. That's the Lumoise power plant. It provides electricity to the whole city. After he explained that, a scientist was running, looking terrified. He collapsed, which prompted the teens to run to him. Oh my gosh. Are you all right? Serena asked. I'm fine. But this team. They took over the power plant, he said frantically. Everyone was shocked to hear this. A team? Who are these people? Trevor questioned. I don't know. All I know is that they resemble these men in black agents with their looks and attitude. It's got to be them. Should we alert the authorities? Trevor asked nervously. Heck no. We've got Mega Evolution on our side, Serena. We can take them on no problem. Then let's do it, Ash suggested. With a resounding three-quarters cry of, yeah, they marched to the power plant in which a single evil guard was standing outside of the front doors. Wait, you're those peasant brats. The grunt recognized them. Go, Houndoom. A predominantly black dog with a red snout and underbelly along with white lines over its body and white horns, this dark Pokemon was like a demon dog. Lucario, I choose you. Ash brought out his aura Pokemon given to him from Karina herself. Use Flamethrower. From its mouth, Houndoom spewed out a stream of fire. Counter with Aura Sphere. Forming a blue orb within his palms, he fired the ball of fighting energy which plowed through the fire, and pushed the howling dog past the grunt and smashed through the door that was locked, which created an explosion from within. Gah! You'll regret this, the grunt barked before retreating in. Ash and his friends nodded with each other confidently, except Trevor, whom was nervous, and sent out their own Pokemon for the job. Lucario now has the help of Foxy, Talonflame and Raiden. For any dark types that Foxy couldn't use psychic moves on, Lucario and Gardevoir handled with Aura Sphere and Acrobatics. Any poison type that could hurt them were dealt with by Foxy, which especially helped when she transformed with Battle Bond. Raiden helped with any Golbat that were in the way. From what any scientist and engineer they asked told them that this evil team was redirecting power away from Lumiose City to somewhere else. Getting nearer, they noticed that melted snow and ice littered the halls, confusing the teens. By the time they reached the end, they encountered a woman who had dark-toned skin and unlike the grunts whom wore a black suit like business people, hers is colored ice blue with a white shirt underneath. Over her eyes are shades with blue lights glowing from them. Her voice sounded as cold as ice. We've now stolen enough power to power our device. There's still much work to do. Hey. She turned to see the group of teenagers glaring at her. So you've made it past all my flunkies. You're annoyingly persistent. Who are you? You don't look like the other people here. Shauna questioned the woman. You may refer to me as Asnex. I am a leading scientist, and what I'm researching is something you wouldn't understand since you're so poor and uncultured. What's with you guys being such elitists? Serena called the woman out. I don't know. What's with you poor existing, sullying the world with your insatiable need for more? Serena gave seriously perplexed face. You do realize that's the same with the rich, right? Yes, but that's because we're entitled to it. We're born into our roles, and those born in the dirt deserve to be stepped on as such. Swept under the rug where they're not an issue. The poor are people you know. The tomboy was getting furious now. Barely. Enough talk, it's about time I snuff you all out. Go. Abomasnow, a white yeti with green arms, feet and tail was summoned. Mega Evolve. Touching a key stone on a Mega Bracelet, the forest tree Pokemon's Mega Stone shined through the white fur as it roared while glowing brightly. The green pine cones on its back burst open as ice shards sprouted through them, and the fur of the ice, grass type became a whole lot shaggier. Falling onto its arms to resemble 4 legs, Abomasnow yelled as snow blasted from it in all directions, filling the room with hail as its mega evolution finished. Since everyone was in summer clothes, they shivered from the sudden cold. Don't think we're going to let you get away with this, Ash warned as he touched a keystone too. Surpass evolution. Mega Evolve. Once his Lucario turned Mega, he ordered, Aura Sphere. Forming a ball of fighting energy, the blue and black jackal fired an especially powerful ball which exploded on contact with Abomasnow. Way to go, Lucario. Ash congratulated his Pokemon, but a command caught them off guard. Focus Blast. From the smoke came an even bigger ball of fighting energy as it violently exploded against the unsuspecting Lucario. He cried out as he fell against the ground, reverting back to normal. Lucario. Ash gasped. It's pointless. You can't beat me. Asnex boasted as Ash returned and thanked his Pokemon. Oh yeah? How about I show you we can? Serena took up the challenge from Ash. Come on, Foxy. Shadow Ball. Forming an orb of black energy, it fired the attack but Serena was able to counter with Flamethrower. The Battle Bond enhanced Fox Pokemon produced a stream of fire which not only stalled the Shadow Ball, but actively pushed it back. Abomasnow yelped as the attack was pushed back at it along with being blasted with fire, subjecting it to another impressive explosion, which was so strong the shock wave actually pushed the scientist agent back, though it didn't knock her down. Transforming back to normal, it fell down unconscious from the excessive damage. Return. Starmie, go. Once the fresh snow Pokemon was out, this one wearing a necklace with a Mega Stone, Asnix touched another key stone. Mega Evolve. As the mysterious Pokemon began to Mega Evolve, crystals formed from the body which surrounded the starfish in midair. By the time the glowing stopped, the actual body now also had yellow tips on the ends along with red crystals. Brine. Faster than either Serena and Foxway could react, the extremely fast starfish spewed a torrent of boiling water which severely hurt the fire starter, as she was pushed past Serena and cried out from the pain of impact against the wall and water attack as she reverted to normal, defeated. Foxy. Return. Once her starter was withdrawn, she called out to her friends. Guys, help me out. Archeops, I choose you. Charizard, I choose you. Ash sent out his shiny Charizard, whom now had a band around his tail that has the Mega Stone. Talonflame and Raiden also stood among the line. Asnix growled. 4 against 1? No fair. Even if 2 of them can't evolve Mega Evolve. Fine then. The scientist agent returned her Starmie. You may have beaten me, but that doesn't change the fact you're just peasant trash. Taking a few steps back, she retreated into the snow and hail, obscured by the internal weather. Hey, wait. They all tried to catch her but it was too late. She escaped. Dang it. She got away. Serena sighed. The snow and hail then went away. At least the weather's back to normal. I hope that I don't catch cold. Trevor moaned, wiping snot from his nose. Thank you for saving us. A man's voice called to them. They turned to see that the workers have come in to congratulate their victory. A woman spoke up. Thanks to you, everything will return back to normal. Lumiose City will return to full power no problem. A scientist exclaimed. Everyone grinned at each other and nodded, and thanked their Pokemon as well. As they left the power plant, a tall old man dressed as a hobo watched them from a distance, an empty sad look on his face. All he had to say was this. I wish I had a better line to say. As they finally entered the city, the gang noticed there were 2 things about a gossip. One was their city getting power back, and the other was. What? Professor Sycamore quit. Trevor gasped, horrified by the news. Running to the nearest newspaper of the Lumiose letter, it read. Kalos professor quits. Mega Evolution overhyped? Early this morning at 7 a.m. sharp, a news interview has been set where Professor Augustine Sycamore, Kalos's prestigious professor for about 25 years, has said he has learned all there is to know. In fact, he claims we put more stock and belief onto the subject than what's actually there. This is what he said. You know how I said that Mega Evolution is mysterious and that I believe that the power of friendship is what possibly fuels the Pokemon's ability to evolve one step further. The truth is that there's no friendship involved. You can even be complete strangers with the Pokemon and still have them Mega Evolve. And if that weren't enough, all it does is just make the Pokemon stronger and nothing else. It's basically a steroid, though I can assure trainers that it's not like a harmful drug, so it's still 100% safe to use. Still, since Mega Evolution is just a means of winning a battle easier, that means there's no more need of a specialized professor like me, so from this day forth, my lab and all of its resources shall be run by Lysander Labs, founded by my good friend Malvin Scarlord, whom you know as Lysander. Me and my right and left-hand assistants will be going somewhere for vacation. Professor Sycamore left, after symbolically leaving his lab jacket on the podium, and left without answering any questions. Here's what the citizens listening in had to say. I hope Mr. Sycamore is all right. He must feel like his time was just a waste. 24-year-old Michelle Dubois said with concern. Mega Evolution is just a power-up. What a letdown. 7-year-old Francis Durand scoffed. So Mega Evolution is just a gimmick? I'd imagine it'll drop down in quality like those blasted popcorn shirts, velour tracksuits and Crocs. What's next? Special moves because of crystals or our Pokemon becoming giant? Pokemon battles nowadays are just too gimmicky with whatever we find. It's like fashion now. It was definitely better when it was my prime time. 70-year-old Curtis Leroy stated, who began reminiscing of the past. Just as quickly as it became popular, will Mega Evolution just blow to the wind like any old-fashioned trend? By the point they reached Lysander, Trevor fainted about a minute ago or two while Serena and her friends read on. "This is terrible," Shauna remarked. "I know this wrecked his dream, but I wouldn't have imagined his career would fall as well." "It is quite upsetting," Serena replied, unsure on how to feel about this. "How about we just have some lunch?" With a solemn agreement, they went to a restaurant. Unlike the last one, the La Yeah appeared to be of better quality. The host was also much friendlier. "Welcome, and thanks for coming. Shall it be a lunch for 4 then?" he asked. "Yes. Very good. I'll lead you to your table." Once the 4 has been seated, they looked at the menus, which were much better than Lana's. After a few minutes, a waitress approached them. "Sorry for the wait. How may I help you?" "I'll have the pecha paid, please," Shauna ordered first. "Custap berry soup, please." Trevor sighed, his head on the table. "I'll have the slowpoke tail with payapa berry crudité," Ash requested, making Serena gasp. "That's what I was thinking. Same for me. Excellent choices. I'll get waitress Nicole, garçon George and the owner Mr. Picard." With the waitress walking off, Serena was confused. "Why would the owner want to see us? Maybe we're just that special." Shauna giggled. In short notice, a light brown-haired woman, a dark-haired man and an old man came out. "Good afternoon. If you'll come with us, we shall begin the battle while your lunches are being made." "Awesome," Ash replied as he and his girlfriends went to battle with them on out-of-the-way battlefield. "Charizard, Blastoise, I choose you," Ash and Serena yelled at the same time, sending out their Kanto starters. "Venusaur, style time." Shauna had her grass starter come out, a mega stone on the base of the plant on his back. The employees sent out an Emolga, Tentacruel and a Zangoose, each respectively looking like a white and black squirrel with yellow wings, a blue jellyfish with red orbs on top, and a mostly white cat ferret with red zigzags on its body. "Emolga, use discharge," the waitress known as Nicole ordered. The Sky Squirrel Pokémon unleashed a blast of electricity that hit not only all of the heroes' Pokémon, but also Zangoose and Tentacruel too, all groaning in pain except for Venusaur. The teens gasped in shock, but the garçon was especially dismayed. "Nicole, why would you do that?" George questioned. "Now my Tentacruel is hurt." "Yeah, but they had 2 Pokémon weak to electricity. I was trying to help the odds," Nicole defended herself. George sighed before commanding, "Tentacruel, use Toxic on Charizard." "Try and dodge it," Ash pleaded, but even as he flew up, the Black Flame Pokémon was doused in toxic purple liquid, thus poisoning him. No. With his Charizard sufficiently hurt and badly poisoned, he had to act quickly. Pressing one of his key stones, the trainer yelled, "Surpass Evolution. Mega Evolve." As Charizard glowed with energy, his wings grew to be more dagger-like while fire erupted from his mouth. When the transformation finished with a rainbow helix, the flying type was now a fire dragon as he flapped his blood-red wings, his body now 2 different shades of green. I don't know the proper shade names. "Review what they are, please," he roared with a kind of power that was fearsome and legendary. The restaurant people were now clearly intimidated, since Emolga reminded him of the Pikachu species back in Kanto and it might have static as an ability, so he chose his next action carefully. "Charizard, use Flamethrower on Emolga." Unleashing a truly devastating stream of blue fire, Emolga was too stunned to think of dodging, and was blasted out of the arena, crashing to the ground badly burnt and defeated. "Emolga!" Nicole cried out. "Nice Ash, Blastoise, use Skull Bash against Tentacruel," Serena requested. Surrounded with silver energy, he leapt forward despite his bulky body and stout legs and truly did bash his head into the jellyfish Pokémon. "Use Petal Dance," Shauna tried to order, but Mr. Picard tried to intervene. "Stop it with Fire Punch," yet despite his intervention, Ash was quicker to the draw. "Counter with Dragon Claw." With his left arm glowing and surrounded by a green aura, Charizard got in between Venusaur and not only stopped Zangoose's attack, it completely overwhelmed the normal type and thus the cat ferret Pokémon was smashed down into the ground, knocked out without so much as making a sound due to not being awake. Mr. Picard was shocked. "All right, Venusaur, Petal Dance." Venusaur said his name as he generated pink flower petals that swirled around him like a tornado, and eventually launched them at the water, poison type. Even with its great defensive bulk, The amount of damage it took really took it out of the jellyfish and it sunk to the ground, defeated as well. Yay! We won! Shauna cheered as she hugged her friends and then ran to Venusaur. Great way to finish things off, huh? Venusaur hummed in appreciation. That was a perfectly executed Skullbash Blastoise. Serena complimented her Pokémon, whom chuckled with pride. Even as his Mega Evolution ended and cringed in pain from the poison, Ash patted his Pokémon on the back. That was a great display there, Charizard. You earned a good rest. Return. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. They turned to see that Mr. Picard has approached them with a smile on his face. You've shown me a whole new world of Pokémon battling. As thanks. Let me gift upon you some big mushrooms from our kitchen as thanks. Now, your meals should be prepared, so enjoy. As the group walked out with satisfied appetites and a bag of mushrooms in their possession, Shauna asked. So, what do we want to do now? We could sell the mushrooms for big money. Trevor suggested, still glum over Sycamore quitting. The three stopped as Serena grabbed the redhead's head and looked at him in the eye. Big money? How much money? Based on the amount of mushrooms we have, I guess anywhere between 45,000 euros to 50,000 euros. Are you freaking kidding me? The tomboy yelled, clearly in disbelief. Plus, due to the game mechanics, they're obligated to give us mushrooms when we win. Even better, Serena shouted as she dropped Trevor. With the use of this restaurant, she pointed at the yeah. We'll get everything we need from this city. But what are we going to do with all that food? It's not like we have bottomless stomachs like our backpacks, Ash pointed out. Easy. We'll just pay for our meals, and then give the food away to promote the place. They'll easily make up whatever profit loss they experience because of us. With that in mind, the group spent the next week battling as much as they could at the restaurant, exploiting the game to earn a buttload of money by the end of each day, handing the food out to people so they know where to eat. The first thing they bought were lots of max revives so that they could battle even more frequently throughout. Second was a bunch of stones, some of which they used to evolve their Pokémon. Everyone evolved their respective Floette into a Florges, and Trevor was able to evolve his Roselia into a Roserade and Raiden into a Raichu. Ash's Gabite even evolved into a Garchomp. Third were TMs so that they could upgrade their Pokémon's movesets and vitamins to help them grow even more stronger in their best stats, which took a week to complete. Finally was their set of clothes that was different. These were the most expensive, but with their new money farming scheme they had it was easy. Ash and Trevor got vinyl messenger bags in black and brown respectively. As for fedoras, Ash got a black one while Trevor got dark red. Ash wore a fancy black jacket over a white t-shirt, checked gray and white pants and black shoes. Trevor wore plaid red shirt and red checked pants. Basically the two now had color palettes of black and gray and Trevor red. You sure like your red? The Kanto native chuckled, adjusting his collar then hat. They didn't have anything green or brown, except for this bag. Looking good, boys. Serena's voice attracted their attention. They turned to see the girls also looked quite fancy. Serena had a black strap purse while Shauna had beige. Serena had a red tie neck blouse, skin-tight pants that were midnight blue except for white stripes on the sides, black bow shoes and a navy blue fedora. Shauna on the other hand wore a red shirt over a white and red spotted pleated kilt skirt, finalized by red Mary Jane shoes and white socks. Aren't I adorable? The dark-toned skinned girl asked as she twirled in delight. You're certainly a doll all right, Serena chuckled. You both look beautiful. Ash complimented both girls as he kissed them both, making both girls giggle. So, we still have over 250,000 euros. What are we going to do with that since we've bought everything we need from this city? Let's give 200,000 euros of it to our parents. Even our bags don't have enough space to support that much money. Not mine, thanks. Trevor objected, looking away sadly. Why not? Ash asked, not knowing of the context. His parents straight up abandoned him. Serena replied, treating the situation with tact for once. He was raised by his sister who's an ace trainer. How about we go to the gym? The short redhead cut her off, not wanting to talk about it. The gym leader's name is Clement Leckler, and he specializes in electric types. Luckily you have a Garchomp so it should be easy. Alright. Let's go. Ash sprinted to the gym, both girls knowing he said that to distract from his less than pleasant home life, Once in the gym, which resembled the Eiffel Tower in real-life Paris but only white and shiny and much more magnificent looking, they encountered a young girl that seemed to be 8 inside. Shauna. Trevor. The girl recognized as she ran to her 2 older friends as she hugged them. Shauna was especially glad to meet her as she squealed. "Oh Bonnie, it's so good to see you again since last. How are you doing?" "I'm doing good. How about you, Trevor?" "I'm doing fine. I was depressed about Professor Sycamore quitting, but my friends have been helping me with that." "Wow, that's cool. You guys look so stylish in those clothes. You'll look perfect in challenging my brother." Shauna stood up and begged her friends. Oh, can I go first for once please? I really want to try my hand on facing one of my friends." "Sure, I see no problem with that," Serena shrugged. "And I can lend Clement some of our max revives so that he can battle me quicker," Ash reasoned. "Yay. Let's go Bonnie." At the top of Prism Tower, a battlefield that looked high-tech and futuristic adorned the room as Shauna faced off against a boy similar to Trevor, but more normal-looking blonde hair and round glasses, inside of a blue insulator suit. Ash, Serena and Trevor sat in the stands while a robotic referee, built to look similar to Clement, stood in between on the side. The Lumiose Gym battle between Shauna and Clement is about to begin. This will be a 4-on-4 match. And this will be over when all 4 Pokémon on one side are unable to continue. Only the challenger may make substitutions during the match. Now, bring out your first Pokémon. Here it is. Go Emolga. Gardevoir. Style time. Shauna brought out her Embrace Pokémon. Use Acrobatics Emolga. Clement went first. Flying towards the Psychic, Fairy type, it moved rather fast, leaving 2 afterimages of the flying, Electric type, though it didn't fool Shauna. Use Psychic. Just as Emolga was going to bash into Gardevoir, a blue outline stopped it. It looked up at the smirking Pokémon before being flung back, screaming as it was pushed through the dirt, sort of like being forced to use Dig. By the time it came up again, the fragile Emolga was defeated. Emolga is unable to battle. The winner is Gardevoir. Emolga, return. Go Raichu. Trevor gasped when he saw the same Pokémon as his own. He even brought out Raiden for this. Raiden, take a close look so that you can see what a pro Raichu can do. Alright Gardevoir, use Moonblast, counter with Light Screen. The mouse Pokémon formed a light yellow force field around itself so that even though it still took damage, it wasn't as much. Now use Wild Charge. Surrounding itself in electricity, Raichu dashed at incredible speed and rammed into the shocked Pokémon as she grunted from the sheer discomfort. As she hovered back, Clement continued. Now use Dig. Leaping with a backflip, the electric type dug underground to avoid any further damage aside from recoil. Incredible strategy. Trevor gasped, along with Raiden. Gardevoir, return. As much as she trusted her Pokémon, Gardevoir was going into a tough spot. Shauna wasn't confident that she'd get out, so she withdrew her Pokémon. Are you sure you want to do that? Clement tried goading her. You could have tried to hold out, maybe even use that Mega Stone I noticed your Gardevoir was using as a necklace? No, I have some even better for the job for the strategy you just pulled. Chessie, style time. Unlike all the others, Chessie wore a different item aside from a Mega Stone. A rocky helmet. Use Focus Blast. Bursting from the ground, Raichu formed an orb of blue energy at the end of its tail and launched it. Counter with Spiky Shield. Shauna pleaded. Slamming her fists together, she formed a shield from her forearms which grew spikes while glowing in a green aura. The Focus Blast pushed against Chessie, causing her feet to skid across the ground before it exploded harmlessly against her shield. Wild Charge. While still in midair, Raichu descended like an electrically charged meteor and slammed into the spiny armor Pokémon's head, accidentally hurting itself in the process against the rocky helmet, but was still able to hurt its enemy to some extent. Dig. Before it could be swatted away by Chessie, the mouse Pokémon leapt off the grass starter and burrowed underground again. With her quick thinking, Shauna ordered. Use Brick Break on the ground. With a glowing white arm, she slammed her arm into the ground, causing it to crack and break apart, forcing the electric type to be exposed mid-recovery, much to its shock. Seed Bomb. Opening her mouth, she bombarded the electric type with explosive seeds, blowing apart the damaged ground due to how limiting the cracks were. From within the smoke, Raichu was defeated. Raichu is unable to battle. The winner is Chesnaught. Alright. Way to go, Chessie. Shauna cheered. That was amazing. You go, girl. Serena encouraged her friend. You can do it, Shauna. Ash yelled his positivity. Yeah. Trevor went last with his Raichu cheering as well. Thanks, guys. Raichu, return. You've done well, buddy. Then, to Clement's surprise, a leaf tornado surrounded Chessie as her battle bond activated. Soon the grass, fighting type became a grass, ground type, more resembling a tree version of herself. Whoa, what is that? That's Chessie's battle bond. Now we're stronger together. What do you think of that? When the shock wore off, Clement chuckled as he brought out another Pokeball. A true scientific trainer is prepared for any outcome. Go. Luxray. The Gleam Eyes Pokemon was next, a Mega Stone strapped onto the star at the end of its tail. The electric type growled, trying to intimidate the transformed starter. Revealing a mechanical Apom arm from his backpack, which impressed both Ash and Serena, the arm had a series of key stones inserted along the arm. Pressing one of them, he yelled, "Surpass evolution. Mega Evolve." Luxray began to glow, beginning to change. The fur around its body became more swept back like wind was pushing it down, the Pokemon became shorter and more sleek, and its tail elongated from being a star to a thin lightning bolt. By the time the evolution was done with the Rainbow Helix and Luxray snarling, the now electric, dark type more resembled a panther than a lion, with more exposed electric blue fur marked with yellow bolt-like patterns. Use Wild Charge. Sparking with electricity, the Gleam Eyes Pokemon charged with great speed and pounced. Brace with your head, Shauna requested. Rearing her head back, Chessie swung her head forward to meet Luxray's, and while the physical force caused her to move back again, the electric attack did nothing. What? Clement wasn't expecting it to do nothing. Yeah, now use Brick Break. With a single swing, the spiny armor Pokemon dealt the electric, dark type a now super effective blow. Luxray cried out as she was slammed into the cratered ground, reverting back to normal. Luxray is unable to battle. The winner is Chesnaught. Luxray, return. You did your best. Time for my ace. Go. Magnezone. Once the large disc-shaped electric steel type was summoned, Clement touched another key stone. Surpass evolution. Mega Evolve. Energy swapped between trainer and Pokemon as the magnet area Pokemon evolved, the Mega Stone around its antenna activating. Splitting off from the main body, 3 satellite things hovered around which grew its own magnets. By the time the transformation was done, the Pokemon was drastically changed. Magnezone lost its magnets and bolts, now having spikes on its lower side, 4 more antennae and having Tron lines glowing all over it. Its eye went from white to black, still retaining its red pupil. Hovering around it were 3 miniatures of itself with 2 magnets and yellow antennae like itself. Whoa, that's so awesome, Shauna gasped. I wonder if Clement will let me research it, Trevor wondered. Yeah, it definitely is cool. But one of the best things about it is that it has Levitate as an ability, so ground types can't deal 4x damage anymore. Neat. But I don't need a ground type to beat you, Chessie. Return. Talonflame. Style time. Bringing out her life orb-adorned scorching Pokemon, she ordered, use Flare Blitz. Blazing in fire, the incredibly fast flying type crashed into the steel type, still dealing incredible damage despite its increased bulk as she flew away. Thunder. Sending the little Magnezones after her, Talonflame found herself surrounded by the 3 before being electrocuted with the immensely powerful attack, trilling in agony. No, Talonflame. Shauna yelped as she watched her Pokemon fell to the ground, zapped out. Talonflame is unable to battle. The winner is Magnezone. Magnezone. All 4 of it said, sounding staticky. Another great thing about Magnezone? Thanks to the extra bodies, it never misses its target. Talonflame, return. Sorry girl. You definitely helped. Rest now. Chessie, time to finish this. As soon as she summoned her starter, Clement yelled. Flash Cannon. Spiky Shield. The main Magnezone managed to prepare and fire the beam of silver energy, which the spiny armor Pokemon was able to defend from the front, but the miniature selves flew behind her, and fired mini flash cannons, dealing individually smaller yet collectively powerful attacks that exploded against her back, forcing Chessie to grunt and take a knee before the main flash cannon ended. Man. Your Magnazone is the closest to being op I've ever seen. But I'm confident in Chessie, Brick Break. Keep it away with Hyper Beam. The gym leader demanded. Chessie pounced and sprinted across the field as the three smaller selves tried to fire at her, but she chopped them away before they could fire. Magnazone fired an orange blast at the ground type, which seemed to have did her in when it exploded at her feet, but she jumped from the smoke, and with a battle cry, smashed the electric, steel type into the ground, forcing it to transform back to normal, defeated. Magnazone is unable to battle. The winner is Chesnut, and thus the match goes to Shauna. Yay, Chessie. You're too amazing for words. The female trainer sprinted to her now normal starter as she hugged her, being careful of the spikes. Chessie laughed from her choice of words. Serena sighed. Shauna battled so well, only losing a single Pokemon. I'm proud of her. Clemont and his Pokemon battled so hard, Bonnie remarked. He's an amazing big brother. That Magnazone of his is out of this world, Trevor praised. Truly incredible, Ash said, smiling with a nod. That was really fun, Shauna. What a great battle, Clemont said to his victorious challenger. I always wondered how I could ever beat your team before starting my journey, but the experience was so exhilarating. The dark-toned girl laughed. I'll never forget this. Well, in order for you to not forget, here's proof you won. The voltage badge. He handed her a badge that looked like a shield bursting with 6 lightning bolts. So cool. Thanks, Clemont. Upon hearing word that Route 14, or the Lavere Nature Trail, is not one suited for their fancy clothes, the group changed out from their Lumiose City clothes into their default ones at the start of the journey. And they just so happened to find a playground. Shauna was ecstatic. Ooh, a playground. We never got to play at one together. Let's spend some time here, guys, please? I guess it'll be fun. Serena shrugged. So long as I don't have to exert myself too much, Trevor pointed out. I never got to play on one of these two. Let's do it, Ash finalized. Yay. Shauna jumped with joy. Serena, you and Trevor don't get time enough together. Ash and I will be fun buddies this time. Trevor looked up at Serena nervously, like she was ready to scoff and insist on being with her boyfriend, leaving him alone to go catch Pokemon alone, when she again shrugged. All right. I had him to myself on the beach. This will make us even then. Come on, Trevor, let's see what you're not pathetic at here. Trevor gave out a sigh of relief. Even with her usual cold choice of word, at least she wants to actually spend time with him without complaint. Okay. Let's play with that tetherball over. That looks good enough. Let's just hope your hair will cushion the impact when I smack it into your head. The tomboy then giggled. Just kidding. Maybe. As she and the gulping Trevor walked to the pole, Shauna grabbed Ash's arm and pulled him to the seesaw. Come on, Ash, let's start with this first. Getting onto both sides, they went up and down for a short bit before the dark-toned girl began to sing in her native language. Petit escargot porte sur son dos sa maisonnette. Aussitot qu'il pleut il se centeru et sort ses cornes. Tirap tira la 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 la. Tirap tira la 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 la. Tirap tira la 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 la. Hey, that's some nice singing. What did that mean though? I'll tell you. She then sang again so he could understand. The little snail carries on his back his little house. As soon as it rains he feels happy and puts out his horns. Tirap tira la 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 la. Tirap tira la 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 la. Tirap tira la 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 la. At that last part Shauna leapt from her spot and playfully crashed into the shocked teenage boy in front of her, pushing him into the ground. This resulted in his yelping in surprise and grunting in pain from the impact of the ground and her. Got you. The pink-clothed girl giggled as she hugged and snuggled with him. Ash couldn't help but smile and pat her head. Hee. Yeah, you got me. Just warn me next time, all right? I'll try, but no guarantees. She giggled again. She scooched forward to kiss him, and he her kissed back while hugging her close. Getting up and dusting themselves off, they went to one of those kid-sized merry-go-rounds. I know how we can make this fun. Ash brought out his Greninja and asked her, Hey Greninja, can you help spin this around so that we can see who can stay on the longest? Nodding, the water starter waited for the two teenagers to get on, and then whipped her tail onto one of the bars before proceeding to run. At first it was fun, but the momentum of the merry-go-round started to become a bit much when the two were having difficulty hanging on. In fact, they even flew off with screams as Shauna smacked into a tree hard enough to leave an imprint of her body while Ash swung into a brick wall, causing it to topple back a second before falling the other way and crashing onto Ash, cracking, and then crumbling into dust. That was awesome, Shauna cried out, slowly prying herself from the tree. Let's try that again. Ash picked himself up from the pile of brick dust and brushed himself off. Yep, though let's wrap ourselves up in bandages so that it shows we have amusing injuries. Thanks, Greninja. She nodded in response. After putting bandages on themselves, the two teens then went to the swings, and had a contest of seeing who can reach the highest. Ash technically won due to accidentally flying off the swing due to his greater mass letting him reach higher and farther than he should have, though he was luckily caught by Greninja so he didn't have to crash into the ground like a cartoon again. Woo, thanks Greninja. You saved my life, Gren. She responded. Interestingly, using the slide was pretty boring since nothing medical or exciting happened. Same with everything else typically found at a playground. Shame I couldn't think on how to exaggerate everything of a playground. But all the fun and games came to an end when a creepy whisper came from the bushes. Friend. Hello. Who's there? Shauna called out to the woods, wondering what the noise was. It was then that a girl with a mane of purple hair and a dark gothic dress jumped from the bushes and presented a Pokeball. I've known forever in my previous life that we would meet today and face off so we can be friends. Oh, you want to battle? Ash stepped up, ready to accept her challenge. All right then, Greninja. His starter jumped to land right on front of him. Chandler, go. A ghostly chandelier was brought out on her end, glowing purple and having purple flames shoot up from its arms. Dark Pulse. Forming a circle of black energy, she shot forth a barrage of black and purple rings which exploded against the ghost, fire type, forcing the luring Pokémon to crash into the ground in one shot. The creepy smile on her face disappeared from how easily she was beaten. Oh. Return. Gengar, go. A round ghost with small arms and legs was next, with scary red eyes and a Cheshire smile filled with white teeth. Spikes ran down the top of its body to its tail. However, Ash's Greninja transformed thanks to Battle Bond and with just one more Dark Pulse. This apparently sent the girl over the edge. I lost. What wizardry is this? Did you somehow rewrite the laws of causality within the games? Ash Greninja isn't supposed to be available until next gen? Does it matter? Ash scoffed. I'm just that awesome. He even put on a pair of pixel shades and a caption appeared that said, "Deal with it." However, that was interrupted when he heard crying and looked to see the girl collapse onto her knees, covering her eyes. I lost. Now we can't be friends. As she cried, this confused everyone else, including Serena and Trevor whom came around at the start of the battle. What do you mean we can't be friends? Because you lost? Ash asked. Trying to recompose herself, the female trainer answered after sniffling. In my previous life, there was a vision that I would battle you and we'd be friends afterwards. I'm so lonely. My only friends are ghosts. All I've ever wanted is a friend. Well, we could still be friends. Ash shrugged. That caught the girl and his friends off guard. Are you sure that's a good idea, Ash? This girl obviously seems outright insane talking about previous lives. And what's with her eyes? Shauna pointed out. Those swirls are creepy. Actually, I wouldn't mind being your friend as well. Trevor spoke. Serena looked down at him like he was as crazy as she was. Seriously, Trevor. Regular strangers make you nervous. How can you want to be friends with Goth Alice Margatroyd here? My name is Monique Rain. Well, before meeting you all my only friend was my sister, and while my pursuit of science kept it at bay, I remember what it was like being lonely. If I can make her feel better, then I will help, even if she is creepy. I can relate too. Ash sighed. I mean, I wasn't an outright loner but Gary hogged all the attention, so I felt lonely too. So yeah, we can be friends. What do you think? Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. The Hex girl repeated as she hugged the two boys close. They blushed due to a reason that'll be explained in just a second. Letting them go, she did warn, just be careful, I'm a hugger. I could hug either one of you before I even realize it. While that was something of a red flag already for Ash's girlfriends, there was one additional detail that showed a threat to their dynamics. Despite her slim frame, genetics apparently gave her a decently sized bosom. Not overly large by any means, but it was like Monique was smuggling large pears in her dress. Compared to her, the two girls felt flat, especially Shauna, since even Serena was average while she wasn't. A cup. However, their protectiveness died down a bit when Ash clarified. Okay, but I'm in a relationship with Serena and Shauna here. A three-way relationship? Monique inquired. She then blurted, I wish to be in it too. No way. Ash's girlfriends screamed at her with angry anime faces. Whoa wait. We hardly know you, Monique, Trevor interjected. We need to have been friends for a while. Oh. The Hex maniac quieted down before declaring, then I'll join with you. Huh? They all uttered in bafflement. You're all my first friends, and I want to enjoy every moment of it. Please let me join. Please, 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 please. The goth girl kept going as she rapidly became more desperate as she begged on her knees and elbows with her hands clasped together as she began to cry while begging. Everyone looked between themselves awkwardly. To show a sense of initiative and goodwill, Monique showed them how to catch Pokemon in a swamp more easily without getting your clothes muddied. Serena got a Politoed, Victreebel and a Drapion, while Ash got a Canivine, Whiscash, a Scavalier and Excelgor. The greatest boon though was when Shauna got an adorable Goodra and Quagsire and Trevor a Gengar and Stunfisk, which they decided to keep on their team, Goodra and Gengar, not the Quagsire and Stunfisk, and train with their contingency TMs and vitamins. Once they reached the city, it was a sight to behold. The whole city looked really rural. The houses looked like abandoned shacks even though people clearly lived in them. The tree leaves were a beautiful orange as they rustled in the trees or floated across the ground, and a giant tree with a clock installed into it which showed it was 4 p.m. on the dot, though it oddly showed 13 hours instead of just 12. Why does that clock have an extra hour? Ash pointed out. That's the hour of the supernatural. Monique answered. It's where the spirits are at their most strongest and may come from. Another PLAACE. She over-dramatized her voice to be all spooky. That made Trevor quiver. Please stop. I don't like spooky stories. Serena rolled her eyes at his paranoia. Come on, let's find some new clothes. Once they got there, it was easy for the guys. Trevor got an olive bag and outdoor hat, a purple striped shirt, brown boots and beige skinny jeans. Ash got a black outdoor hat, a black V-neck, red boots and red skinny jeans. Okay, now I know we're almost copying each other clothing for clothing. Ash chuckled. The only differences are our shirts. A lot of their clothing has to do with trekking through swamps, that's for sure. The short redhead agreed. You're telling me. It was hard trying to find the right ensemble, but we managed it. They turned to see Serena and Shauna in the city-themed clothing. They each had a purple and green tassel bag respectively along with brown and purple caps. Serena wore a white scalloped tiered yellow skirt to go with a yellow ribbon smock shirt that had a white bow in the front and black laced boots. Shauna's was nearly the same except it was more pink and purple themed, except for her brown laced boots. However, Monique seemed hesitant as she poked her head around. Her blush was all over her face. Do I really have to come out like this? Come on, Monique. We can't have 3 girls looking the same. People would think we're lazy with fashion. Come on, show us. Shauna encouraged her. Gulping, Monique stepped out and the others gasped. For the most part, Monique did look cute in her dress. It was a coral pink coat dress that went down to her knees. She also wore the same brown laced boots and a black hat with a red feather in it. But something was totally throwing it off. Her chest was too big, as the button in the middle strained to keep it contained. Her nervous trembling was obvious. Do I look okay? The button gave up and popped off, flying right into Trevor's face with enough force to knock him down, gasping from the impact as he fell onto his back. Trevor? Ash asked in worry as he tended to his friend. All right. Quick girl time. Shauna declared as she and Serena took the apologetic Hex maniac to the back room before Serena popped her head out. You'd better forget this, boys, or I'll beat the memory out of you. She threatened with a fist that had an angry vein before going back in. Ash sweated, not really sure if she would really do that. Monique was on her knees as stared tearfully down at her chest, which the dress now sported a hole in the middle showing cleavage and in some black bra. Monique couldn't hold it in anymore as she cried and covered her face. I'm sorry. That was an accident. I'm sorry for my previous life blessing me with freakishly big titties. No, Monique, it's fine. Shauna tried comforting the poor girl as she hugged the hex maniac. I mean, to be honest, I'm jealous. Monique looked up and gazed into Shauna's eyes, which had hints of discomfort, but she tried to be a good friend, as new as it was between the two of them. Really? Yeah. It's not that I've always been jealous of them in general since it's rare, but yours are quite supple. Girls don't like being reminded they're flat. Monique took that into consideration as she looked down and cupped her boobs. I never knew that. I've always been alone since my parents died when I was young, and I've gotten by from the charity of the people. But at the same time, people avoid me because they think I'm weird. Like Serena. The blonde tomboy felt a pang of guilt, hearing that not only was Monique alone, she didn't even have any parents or any kind of family. I'm sorry, Monique. In my defense, you did come on really strong, but you probably couldn't help with lacking social skills. Thinking about it, Serena sighed as she said, Monique, while you already have the friendship of everyone else, I'm still not sure about you. But that doesn't mean I won't give you an official chance to prove yourself of not only staying with us, but being in our open relationship. Really? The hex maniac asked before scurrying to the blonde. Tell me please. Rule number 1. Be yourself, but don't force yourself upon us. You don't have any solid idea of who we are. Once you actually get to know us, you will know how to act like yourself and be comfortable around us. Okay. Rule number 2. Know who you are. Before you can be yourself, you should know who you are. You may think you're just a loner freak, but I can see someone else down underneath. A person who I can genuinely see as a friend. You just have to find her. Oh, so, I just have to learn how to be the best self I can be. Yep, but there's one more rule. What's that? Serena then frowned as she stooped down, grabbed the hole in the coat and forced it closed, making Monique to yelp. Rule number 1.5. Don't you dare use your feminine charms on my Ash, along with Shauna. He's my man, and I won't let you and your boobs persuade him to like you because you're well endowed. Got it? Yes, I get it. Let me go please. The hex maniac pleaded before Serena let go, allowing her to breath. Good. Now since it seems like you'll just pop out of everything in this store, you'll just have to make do with your own dress, okay? Okay. Trevor was just now coming back to consciousness with Ash watching him from a chair while reading Showcase Monthly. What happened? Monique's button popped and you got popped on the forehead. Well, that explains why the center of my forehead hurts. The girls soon came out, Monique back in her own clothes. Running to him, the hex maniac captured him in a hug while profusely apologizing. Oh Trevor, I'm so sorry, it was an accident, I swear, please forgive me. Monique, he can't so long as you're suffocating him like that, Shauna pointed out. She stopped when she realized his face was in the middle of her bosom rather tightly, and could feel him squirming in there. She blushed even more. I'm sorry. Pushing him away, Trevor was caught by Ash. Hey Trevor, are you okay, Ash? The timid boy asked, once he regained his senses. Yeah? How are girls so soft? The girls responded in their own way. Monique covered her face with her mane of hair. Shauna nervously giggled while Serena wasn't sure whether to literally knock some sense into him or just yell that he should forget about it. Groaning, Serena said. All right. Enough about Mrs. Fanservice because all this is ticking me off. Let's just go find the gym leader and get this over with. Monique peeked out of her hair. Oh, you mean Miss Valerie Prue? Her gym is the giant tree with the clock. Perfect. Ash, since you have a Lucario to beat her the fastest, you can go first. Taking his hand, she dragged the confused teen, as he was trying to focus on the fast-occurring events. Wait, she's another gym leader in a tree? Unfortunately, it appeared that the gym was closed. I'm terribly sorry, but the gym is closed due to our fashion show today. There's nothing I can do, the attendant told the group. Well, that's a shame. Trevor noted. However, two girls approached them, appearing to be models. Excuse us, can we talk with you for a second? A female in the same skin tone as Shauna asked. There's a little something we'd like to talk to two of you about. Her more fair-skinned bright blonde friend requested as well. We hope you don't mind. Us? Serena asked. It didn't take long before the group was being led to the back of the gym, fashion store, where the models stooped down to their knees and spoke to someone. "Miss Valerie, please excuse me, but may we enter?" "Yes, please come in." The models entered along with the group, where they met the Valerie Prue. Her long black hair majestic looking, her pink dress beautiful and cute, and her eyes, as buggy as they look, still hold a charm none would deny as enchanting. "It's her, Valerie," Monique gasped. She dropped to her knees and prayed praises in whispers. "Oh yes, I've heard of you. Monique Rain," the gym leader said, her voice as soft and soothing as honey. The Hex maniac gasped again as she looked up. "You know my name?" "Yes. It is a gym leader's job to know their citizens. Well, except for Clemont since there's hundreds in his city. But back to you, you're the social outcast, aren't you?" Unfortunately that is true." She looked down at her hands, sorrow growing in her. Valerie stepped forward and stooped to her level, taking the maniac's hands into hers. "Even though I'm not involved, I'm sorry for what happened to your parents, and I apologize for not taking the time to help you. To see you." Monique's eyes filled with tears. You really mean that? You're not going to call me crazy or say I'm creepy?" "Why would I do that? You are special. Hex maniacs may be known for seeming to be distant from reality and talk to ghosts, but that makes them no less worthy of human decency and care. I may not have shown it unfortunately, but I have loved that you devote your time to your true passion. Be whoever you want to be, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Monique began to cry as she hugged Valerie, unable to keep her emotions down since no one has told her such kindness. Even Serena's rules paled in comparison since they were conditions on what she should do to be accepted, not encouragement on how to be true to herself. Something that said Tomboy felt guilty about when she got rough with her in the changing room. While Serena still felt she needed to say that Ash shouldn't be won over with her body, she now wished she handled the situation better. "So, why did you have us brought here?" Shauna asked. They waited until Monique was done crying, though even that she was just quietly sobbing with Valerie continuing to hug her, she answered. "Some of my models had to drop out at the last minute, and I was in despair. So I had some helpers look for substitutes. And it seems like you're perfect. That is, if you'd like to accept." "Be a model?" Shauna gasped with a huge smile and sparkles in her eyes. "I would love to." "It does sound like a lot of fun." Serena agreed with a nod and smile. Turning her gaze to Monique, she said, "While I only needed a replacement, would you like to participate in my fashion contest?" This stumped the Hex maniac as she stuttered. Really? You want me to model?" "Yes. For too long you have had to suffer because you were seen as different from everyone, shortly after your parents died so long ago. I wish to help with that, even if it can never be fully undone." Monique stayed still for a few seconds before nodding shakily and responding. "Okay." 2 hours later, at around sunset, there was a stage that a lot of females and some men were cheering, waiting for the show to start. Soon the lights did flicker, and 2 women walked onto the catwalk. A woman with long brown, orange hair and another with twin-tail black hair, each in a blue and black dress respectively, greeted the fans. "Ladies and gentlemen, the time has finally come. We'll be presenting Valerie's newest collection." The first woman walked with an Azumaril, wearing a dress and skirt that was predominantly blue with some white additions to the bottom of the skirt and drooping sleeves, the middle held by a pink sash that had a zagzag tail and blue sphere at the end, emulating Azumaril's tail. "This stuff sure is popular," Ash remarked. "No kidding. All this for clothes?" Trevor wondered as he was clueless about the big deal. After a dress display of a female Meowstic, a Gothorita and a Chimecho, it was time for what the 2 boys were waiting for. Next up, designs of the beautiful patterns of Florges and Sylveon. Serena and Shauna walked out, impressing everyone but especially captivating Ash. Serena was wearing dark green skinny jeans and a red designer top, the middle covered with a yellow dress that had a black and pink belt. She also had a yellow flower in her hair which was all the way down, just like at the beach. Though the look on her face showed that she might have stage fright, given she wasn't doing any waving and it was as straight tight as possible, attempting not to break face in the literal sense. But while she struggled with the attention, Shauna loved it as she waved and cheered to her admirers, wearing a mostly white sleeveless dress on top with a skirt that went white, blue and pink downward respectively as it reached her knees, wearing the cutest pink shoes to go with the snow-white socks. Her dress was held up by two straps in which one was blue and the other pink, and her brown hair was adorned with the iconic ribbons that Sylveon have. "Hey Ash. Hey Trevor. Aren't I so cute and adorable?" she asked her two guy friends as she twirled. "You two are certainly beautiful," the impressed male trainer replied as he gave two thumbs up. Shauna giggled while Serena blushed some more. However, their attention has turned to the back where fog began to pour out, and the audience went wild. Valerie stepped out with her wing-like sleeves covering the upper part of her body before spreading them out, with sparkles floating through the air as she did so. "We love you, Valerie," a lot of the female audience screamed. "You're so incredible and beautiful, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming to my fashion show. Every one of my latest designs incorporate Pokémon motifs. That's because my philosophy has always been that only true beauty can be found in nature. Also, all of my creations are carefully designed to look their absolute best when worn in a Pokémon battle. But before we go on, there's one more dress you must absolutely see. By far, this is my magnum opus of this year in my eyes. Please allow me to introduce today's best model." Stepping aside, everyone was shocked to see that this last model Dot was none other than the social outcast herself, dressed up as a Mega Mawile. From how it looks, it was like she was dressed as a shrine maiden, with her purple pleated trousers which waved loosely around her legs, a pale yellow Kasode kimono top held in the middle by red ribbon, and her large voluptuous hair put up in two ponytails meant to replicate the two jaws that the Mega Evolution has. She looked incredibly nervous as she took slow, cautious steps, worried she'd be made fun of despite the outfit. Everyone, you all know her as the resident hex maniac, Monique Rain. However, shortly after her parents died and she took up the hobby of mediumship and seances, you all shunned her, never treating her as a person and only gave her food because you pitied her. The gym leader, fashionista, turned to Monique. "However, I never once thought of her as what you say creepy or abnormal. She is special in which I am special, because while our means of being who we are different, we have a connection in that we are passionate in what we do, and there is nothing wrong in being different. After all, I know some of you have hobbies or jobs that don't entirely reflect the city's taste. Chemical scientist, industrialist, pyrotechnic, things that fairies and such wouldn't like. But that doesn't mean that you're any weirder than anyone else." While I failed her because my responsibilities kept me from tending to everyone, I wanted to show you all as how I see her. Beautiful in her own way, even if they have an odd feature such as a Mawile. Valerie then took Monique's hands and said, "Monique, on behalf of Lavere City, I apologize." After she bowed to the stunned girl, the fairy-type specialist called out, "So, what do you all say?" While everyone was silent, one by one people began to speak up. "Perhaps we were too hard on her. We shouldn't have ignored her like we did. I may want to try and be her friend now." As the people began to see the error of their ways and either directly or indirectly apologized, Monique started to go teary-eyed again, wondering if her torment of the people were finally over. "Hey." She turned to Serena, whom looked remorseful. "I'm sorry for handling with you roughly earlier today. I was just friend as a girlfriend is all. But now I see that I was excessive in my defense. While I still think we should take things slow and get to know each other properly, I think we'll make great friends. Maybe even more." "Yeah, same here," Shauna agreed as she slung an arm over Serena's shoulders. Monique couldn't take it anymore as she lunged and hugged her new friends, sobbing uncontrollably as she tried to say, "Thank you," nodding. Valerie waved her arms open and shouted, "Thank you all for attending and listening. Let's show our support for Monique." Everyone there cheered, as they would treat the former outcast better from now on. After the town apologized and embraced Monique Rain as one of them, it was a very good sleep as everyone had no worries on their mind. By early morning, they were greeted by the 4 recognizable women that were involved with them during yesterday's fashion show. Once they finally reached the center of the gym, they gasped as it looked like a Zen garden of sorts, trees surrounding the walls which were mostly paper with some wood that made rectangles. Just a little closer was an outline of sand which had lines raked through them, reachable by bridges leading to the battlefield on a raised stone foundation, where Valerie should be standing but was nowhere in sight. Serena noticed that Trevor was ready to take notes when she asked, "Hey, you're technically not Sycamore's underling anymore. Why are you still recording data?" "Just because he quit doesn't mean I should. During those off-screen moments the readers didn't get to read, you guys really helped me with my depression, and now I'm willing to do the best I can for myself, not just for him. Serena was surprised by his answer, only to smile fondly that his interests were truly his, not just because it was an excuse for something. She patted his shoulder. We were glad to help. The room then darkened as the walls pulled away while neon pink light filled the room, bedazzling the teens as the light was replaced by dark blue and raining sakura petals. From the distant floor, Valerie in her fairy dress rose up and walked onto the arena. The time has finally come. Valerie, the Lever gym leader, now makes her appearance. I welcome you all to my gym. Ash, I must thank you. For what? For accepting Monique. Without even knowing her story, you showed her the first sign of genuine friendship she hasn't experienced in ages. You are truly a kind spirit, and have my deepest admiration. Ash smiled. Thank you. Tell me, how many gym badges do you have? 5. So you're my 6th. I see. Valerie was then handed 4 Pokeballs from one of her models. In that case, I'm interested to see what you have in mind for me. The Lever gym match between Valerie the gym leader and Ash the challenger will now get underway. Each trainer will have the use of 5 Pokemon, and the battle will be over when either trainer's Pokemon are unable to continue. Furthermore, only the challenger is permitted to substitute Pokemon. Aromatisse, appear. A being that mostly looked like a bird surrounded by cotton candy was brought out as her first Pokemon. Lucario, I choose you. Once his choice was on the field, Valerie spoke just like her Pokemon, which confused Ash. The fragrance Pokemon then glowed as she filled the room with pink energy, which smelled nice and looked really tranquil. Wow, I feel so much calmer all of a sudden, Shauna remarked. Yeah, like I could just listen to a waterfall and nap, Trevor agreed. What is this? Ash pondered, having gotten used to the fairy type by now but has never experienced this move. It's Misty Terrain, Ash, Serena answered. It protects against status ailments and makes dragon types even weaker. Well, good thing status ailments wasn't what I was going for anyway. Flash Cannon. With just a single blast of silver energy, Aromatisse was down for the count thanks to his enhanced power and overwhelming speed. Aromatisse is unable to battle. The winner is Lucario. Return. At least you tried to help us. Thank you, so take a nice rest. Slurpuff, appear and use Light Screen. Another pink Pokemon, this time looking like a dessert cream puff with a big cherry on top and a tongue hanging out. She managed to form a yellow barrier around her side of the battlefield. In that case, we'll just have to kick things up a notch. Pressing a keystone, Ash yelled. Surpass evolution. Mega Evolve. Slurpuff Puffpuff. Now it became a brief battle of light as even the brightness of Mega Evolution was being overwhelmed by the blinding gleam that came from the Meringue Pokemon. But this was only for a moment. Again, Flash Cannon. A much more powerful beam of silver energy pierced through the fairy-based attack and exploded against the short Pokemon, rolling onto her back in defeat. Slurpuff is unable to battle. The winner is Lucario. Well, I'd definitely say that I have the upper edge, Valerie. You'd better step up your game. Ash boasted as she withdrew her fallen friend. Oh, I plan to. Mawile, appear. Sending out the fairy, steel type, Ash noticed that a Mega Stone was elegantly strapped on the top of her head. Now Mawile. Time to shine with Mega Evolution. Valerie touched the first keystone on her wrist, causing her Pokemon to Mega Evolve. What once was one set of jaws coming from her head split into 2, along with her body taking up more presence as she transformed into what he recognized as Monique's costume's inspiration. Awesome. So that's what I looked like. The girl herself admired the creature in which everyone saw her as yesterday. It's certainly both pretty and interesting looking. Serena noted. The transformed Mawile yelled as a white aura surrounded her. Mawile. Valerie went first. Her 2 jaws glowed white, and she charged head first. Recognizing it was Iron Head, he countered. Use close combat. Lunging forward, he instantly closed the gap between them first and made the first punch against her head, but was surprised when she completely overpowered his fist and kept going as he felt something collide very painfully in his abdomen. So hard was he tacked by the Deceiver Pokemon. He flew back with a prolonged yelp past the shocked Ash and crashed into the scenery. He turned back to see his Lucario transforming back. Lucario is unable to battle. The winner is Mawile. He's been one shot like he's been doing to her, Shauna gasped, standing up. Serena nodded. Huge power. Ash didn't realize since he's not familiar, but it grew very powerful. He should have spammed Aura Sphere. Poor Ash. Monique commented. I'm sure he'll pull through. Trevor said, not really affected by what just happened. Thank you, Mawile. We showed him, didn't we? Valerie encouraged her Pokemon. She nodded in response. Once Ash returned his Pokemon, he chuckled. Well, looks like I underestimated you. But this is just beginning. Garchomp, I choose you. Everyone was shocked to see that Ash brought out his dragon, ground type, the Mega Stone around his throat with a choker. What is he doing? Fairies are immune to dragon moves and his will be dealt big damage if he's hit, Shauna gasped. Oh, I bet I know where this is heading. The short redhead was now getting really excited. Touching a key stone, he yelled. Surpass evolution. Mega evolve. And evolve he did, glowed with power as Garchomp's arms morphed into sides and his chest broadened. Garchomp roared as it became a new and deadly fighting machine. Valerie's eyes narrowed as she said. Mawile. This time it just seemed like she was going onto a regular attack, but Ash wouldn't let her. Jump and use Fire Fang. Leaping over the steel, fairy type with ease, he spent no time as he mouth filled with fire and he snapped at Mawile's back. She screamed as it was too much to bear from the heat and pain, evident as she transformed back to normal and passed out from the pain. Garchomp dropped her body and shouted his name in triumph. Mawile is unable to battle. The winner is Garchomp. Yep, I knew he'd win that one. Serena giggled. While it didn't look like close combat didn't do much, Mawile was part steel type so the damage was neutral, and with such a hard hitter like Lucario when he mega evolves, even it must have been hiding a headache under that face. Incredible. Monique marveled Ash's tenacity. Sylveon, appear. The fairy type evolution was summoned, and Ash couldn't believe how beautiful she looked. Now Sylveon, time to shine with mega evolution. Touching another key stone, Sylveon glowed as her transformation began. Her ribbons extended out and became fluffy at the ends. Her ears, the base of her tail and legs sprouted butterfly-shaped protrusions, along with her tail becoming bushier with fur. By the end of the transformation with the rainbow helix, Sylveon looked even more fairy-like than ever, and much more beautiful. Sylveon. Extending her ribbons, Garchomp found himself entangled with white tendrils, growling as he tried to break free. No way. Ash gasped. So Sylveon can do that? Serena was very surprised by this. Be careful, Ash. While fairy types are graceful, they can also bare their fangs. Sylveon, Valerie commanded, and the intertwining Pokemon shouted, which resulted in pink and sparkly sound waves which overtook the mock Pokemon, causing the dragon sheer discomfort as he roared. Quick, use Fire Fang on the ribbons, Ash ordered. His mouth filling with flame again, he bit down on the extended appendages, causing Sylveon to cringe in pain as she let go of his right arm. Now drag her down with Dig. Raising one of his extremely sharp arms, Garchomp slashed into the ground as he went under the field. Even with a type disadvantage, his sheer strength forced Sylveon off her feet and screamed as she was dragged down into the hole. Sylveon. Valerie cried out in worry. A few seconds passed before the ground burst, which resulted in the two Pokemon in midair with Garchomp using the flat side of his scythe arms to bat the fairy type down, crashing into the field as she transformed back to normal. Sylveon is unable to battle. The winner is Garchomp. And not only that, Misty Terrain and Light Screen wore off. Your fairy types aren't the only ones with fangs to bear, and the thing is, there was a reason that I chose Garchomp aside from his awesome power. With Light Screen, you weakened all of my Pokemon that I have on me. Except for Garchomp, that is. So he used his best physical attacker to wait out the Light Screen, Trevor realized. So clever. Monique praised. Yep, he's our smart boy. Serena nodded with an impressed smile. Sylveon, return please. You battled wonderfully, the gym leader said as she petted her Pokemon's Pokeball. Take a nice rest. Be warned, Ash. While I commend your long-term strategy and boldness of using and winning with a dragon type, with my ace, it won't be like the last. Florges, appear. A plant-like feminine Pokemon was the last to show, having a white upper body and green lower body, her head surrounded by a bouquet of red flowers. Her lower half was like a mermaid with two large leaves sprouting above the tail fin. She wore a pretty belt with a mega stone where a navel would be if the Pokémon were human. Now Florges, time to shine with Mega Evolution. Her ace began to evolve like the others before her, starting with the flowers from her head expanding and some extending outwards in lines reaching down to her shoulders. The leaves on her tail also split so that there was 4 with the ends growing bigger leaves. With the transformation done, Florges looked like the most elegant fairy-type Pokémon you could find. Florges. The electronic walls turned blue as a full moon appeared even if it wasn't real, but it was like it was from the way the garden Pokémon was forming a pink glowing orb and threw it at Garchomp with surprising speed, along with he was too injured to dodge quickly enough, and was subject to a powerful explosion. While his friends gasped, Ash remained stoic as he knew his dragon, ground type was down and out. Garchomp is unable to battle. The winner is Florges. Garchomp, return. You did amazing this time. I'm proud. Take a good rest. Now for what I've been waiting for. Charizard, I choose you. His Kanto fire starter roared as he was brought out, and Ash touched a key stone. Surpass evolution. Mega evolve. Charizard glowed and began to morph, but not like before. His wings grew longer, his arms and tail became spiked and a third horn appeared on the back of his head. By the time he was done, the flame Pokémon flapped his wings and blew fire from his mouth, looking so cool with his other shiny transformation. The inside of the room brightened as an artificial sun glowed above Ash's side of the field. He used the Y-Stone this time. Shauna cheered. Come on Ash, I know you can win this. Serena and Monique encouraged their friend. Charizard, use Air Slash. The flame Pokémon's wings glowed white as he launched a barrage of energy blades. Florges floor. The fairy type created another moonblast which she spammed one after another, each exploding upon contact with the flying type attack. Florges. The garden Pokémon's eyes glowed blue, and so an outline appeared around the fire, flying type, and it took just slightly too long to realize what was going to happen before being slammed down into the ground thanks to Psychic. Fire Blast. Even when down from flying, the fire starter was still able to attack with a powerful Huo Kanji, which Florges was too preoccupied to defend or dodge and thus was engulfed by the fire-type attack. Charizard was then able to get back up into the air, again. Florges. Valerie pleaded. As Charizard made another kanji, an orb of pink light was launched from the smoke, and collided with the fire blast in the middle, trying to stop it. Fortunately, Charizard's offense was too strong as it was only slowed down, yet still fast enough to explode against the garden Pokémon once again. With a scream, Florges fell to the ground while reverting back to normal. She fainted. Florges is unable to battle. Charizard is the winner, meaning the match goes to Ash. Haha, that was great Charizard. Ash complimented his Kanto starter whom snorted as he transformed back to normal. I still can't believe he won using a dragon type, and waiting before using his Charizard. Trevor was awestruck by Ash's means of battle. He's so cool. He really is. Shauna and Serena said at the same time before looking at each other. They giggled at the jinx. Monique was stunned by his battle prowess. Not just strong, but calculating as well. It's been quite a long time since I've been beaten. The fairy specialist commented as she stooped down and talked to her Florges. Florges gestures. I'm proud of you just like I'm proud of all the others. Return, and take a good rest. Looking up at her victorious challenger, she smiled. That was truly well done. You're the first trainer that's beaten me in a while. You were certainly good. Hey, can you really talk to your Pokémon? Not all, but I certainly can communicate with mine. Actually, I have always wished to be a Pokémon myself. But enough about me. You know how a trainer's heart becomes one with their Pokémon when backed into a corner doing battle. And you know how to be compassionate with others so that everyone has a reason to smile. For your victory, I bestow you the fairy badge. Although, it took her a few seconds to hand it over as she was staring at the object before realizing what she was doing. Oh. Do forgive me. I was so captivated by it, I forgot for a moment it was yours. Ash was handed a badge that resembled a fairy with how pink and sparkly it looked with its round center and wings. Thank you. Wow, it's so cute and sparkly. Shauna gushed over his newest badge as they walked through the city, having dropped Ash's Pokemon at the Pokemon Center that needed to be healed. I can't wait till I have one. It certainly is very pretty, Monique agreed, gazing down at the badge in Ash's hand. Now I'm actually conflicted about evolving my Eevee into Espeon or Sylveon. That ribbon thing was really cool. Serena bemoaned, her hands behind her head. Well, while we think about it, how about we visit the Pokeball factory? Trevor suggested. Maybe even get some specialty Pokeballs. That sounds possibly fun. The tomboy shrugged. Then let's go, Shauna yelled as she sprinted ahead. She doesn't know where it is, Monique pointed out. Serena sighed as she sprinted after the girl. Shortly after retrieving Shauna, the group found the factory. Wow, it sure is huge. Shauna marveled at the place, which is quite big. I've always wanted to come here. See how they are made. Trevor nodded. They truly are a fascinating aspect of technology. However, as they approached, they saw a member of the evil team they encountered at the power plant. Once he noticed them, he freaked out. Geez. Gotta tell the boss. After he ran in, they wondered if the factory had been taken over. Them? Again? Trevor was trembling from the implication they'd have to fight those people a third time. Hey, don't worry, Trevs. We've beaten them before, we can do it again. Serena tried to instill courage into her friend. Yeah, something is up, and now we have to fix it, Shauna agreed. Monique, I think you should stand back. We've dealt with them before and they're seriously dangerous. Dangerous. The Hex Maniac started to panic. What are you going to do? Simple. Serena said as she cracked her knuckles. We mess with whatever plans they've got in store. Stay out here where it's safe. We'll handle the inside. And so our heroes bravely, and reluctantly for Trevor's case, stormed the factory where it was surprisingly empty. However, a voice did ring out. Well, ain't this a contrived coincidence? You foil our plans at the fossil caves, and then you meddle with our takeover of the power plant, and now you stumble upon our invasion of this here factory. What are the odds? Are you? A man in a pink lavender suit stepped out, his eyes covered by shades which glowed pink where the lenses are just like Asnik's before. Even his blonde hair had a pink stripe curling around his forehead. Psychic or something? Who are you this time? You remind us of that Asnik's woman with the woman and cold voice, Serena commented. Ah yes, my ally. Well, you may refer to me as X-Dix. I was in the middle of negotiating with the president of joining our cause when you rudely interrupted. You were lucky with my partner last time, but you stand no chance against my ace. Go, Alakazam. Once a yellow humanoid floating Pokemon with a mustache and spoons appeared. X-Dix touched a key stone which reacted with the Mega Stone attached to a belt on the Psychic type's torso. Mega Evolve. Alakazam glowed, and thus began to transform. A beard grew down its face, its arms drooped down like sleeves, and its lower body thinned out. But most interestingly was that 5 spoons surrounded the Mega Evolved Pokemon. By the time the transformation ended, it looked more sage-like with its aged look. Alakazam. It spoke. Greninja, I choose you. Blastoise, I choose you. Talonflame, Style Time. Raiden, let's help out. But before they could do anything, Alakazam's eyes glowed blue, and thus 3 of the 4 Pokemon, Greninja excluded, were lifted with surprise on their faces, and hurled around, crashing into stuff. Talonflame and Raiden in fact were already knocked out from the sheer psychic power. How did you do that? Shauna gasped. You didn't make a command. I don't have to. Mega Alakazam have the ability to see everything that will happen within its knowledge, and its knowledge is infallible. Oh yeah, well how about it defending against 2 attacks? Hydro Pump. Yeah. Greninja, use Dark Pulse. But even before they made their attack, the Psychic type started to glow brilliantly as it used Dazzling Gleam, so that even when the attacks were made, they were stopped and pushed back effortlessly. No, get away quick. Ash pleaded. Greninja was able to leap behind a heavy metal box to avoid the attack. Blastoise wasn't as lucky as he was blasted into a steel beam. He fell onto his front, defeated like nothing. Blastoise. Serena called out in concern. Alakazam did not stop as it formed a blue orb which was Focus Blast, and fired it at the box Greninja was hiding in. However, all that was there was a hole. Grr, don't think you've won yet. Talonflame, brave bird. Yeah, Shauna wasn't giving up so easily. Gardevoir, use Shadow Ball. Roserade, Petal Dance, Trevor brought out his bouquet Pokemon. However, the Psy Pokemon simply gathered a bunch of crates which provided as a shield against the attacks. Monique watched outside as she witnessed her friends were getting slaughtered, with Alakazam using Psychic to slam Serena's Talonflame against Roserade and obliterated Gardevoir's Shadow Ball with its own and beat her as well. The poor Hex Maniac gulped and dropped down and tried to think of a way that she could help. But her two ghost types would be creamed by its Psychic and Shadow Balls. Unless... Monique gasped as she brought out one of the last things her late mom gave her. Gripping it, the Hex Maniac tried to sneak it. After several minutes of fighting, Serena and Trevor had ran out of Pokemon and Ash plus Shauna only had their Greninja and Chesnaught left by this point. Even when they tried Mega Evolving, their Pokemon were beaten faster than they could complete the process. Why do you persist? Alakazam has single-handedly beaten over 10 of your Pokemon. You can't beat a Pokemon that can see every possible future it knows of. But even as Xdiox said this, Ash refused to give up. No, it's over when it's over, but as he said that, he had no idea how to beat Alakazam like this. At least, one that would work, but he's willing to try anything. Shauna, bring out Chessie. But Chessie stands no chance. Just do it. He yelled at her. Taken aback, she did as was told and Ash said. Greninja, use Ice Beam on Chessie. What? His battle partner gasped and his water starter looked at him shocked herself. What are you saying, Ash? Serena questioned her childhood friend. Oh, you're turning on your friends now? Xdiox chuckled. Even with my brilliant mind I certainly wouldn't have seen this coming. Just trust me. I have something of a plan. Reluctantly, the two nodded as Greninja hit the grass Kalos starter, freezing her into unconsciousness. However, a tornado of water began to spin around the ninja Pokemon, and thus in her shiny glory, she was now in her Ash Greninja form, ready for battle. Alakazam, for the whole fight, actually moved back, and some sweat glistened since now it actually felt worry. So even your battle bond form worries my Alakazam. No matter, my Gallade will handle this instead. Return. However, nothing happened. I said return, still nothing. Why won't this thing work? Because of me. A female voice answered. Everyone turned to see Monique step from the shadows, and a certain Pokemon that's my absolute favorite. 3 eyes appeared from the shadows behind her followed by a big smile with white teeth, before a shiny pink Gengar came into existence with her, chuckling at his trap. Shadow Tag prevents Pokemon from being switched. Fine then, you'll just have to pay for your insolence, Shadow Ball. Water Shuriken. Within a flash, Greninja appeared before and threw a shuriken made of water which split into 3, the middle catching the Shadow Ball while the other 2 others sliced into the Psychic type, creating small watery explosions that Alakazam grunted against. The 2 Pokemon then easily blended into the shadows, Gengar dragging his master with him for Monique's protection. The 2 villains looked around, trying to pinpoint them. Looking to his right, he formed a Shadow Ball and fired. Protect. A green force field within the shadows shielded against the attack, and it was during that instance that Greninja burst from the ground faster than the Psychic type could react, snagging the Psy Pokemon with her tongue and wrapping around its frail body. No, Focus Blast. But even with a verbal command, the Psy Pokemon was too much in a painful bind to concentrate. Hex. Revealing himself, Gengar created an evil-looking eye of ghostly energy and launched it. Greninja held the panicking Alakazam tightly so it couldn't escape, and thus they were caught in an explosion that shook the whole factory, everyone bracing against the shockwave and smoke. Gazing to where the Pokemon were, it eventually cleared up to see both Alakazam, now back to normal, was defeated while Greninja was somewhat hurt but nonetheless still good as she unraveled her red tongue and let the Psy Pokemon fell. Impossible. Mega Alakazam has never been defeated before. Xdiox gulped as he returned his Pokemon. That's the thing though. My friends can defy causality itself, Monique boasted, walking to her friends. Yeah. With Monique and I, none of the rest of your Pokemon stand a chance, Ash decreed with a smile. The scientist growled as he summoned his Espeon. This isn't over. Dazzling gleam. Espeon shouted as she produced a blinding light that caused everyone to look away. By the time the light vanished, so did the man and his Pokemon. Woo! That was hard. Serena groaned as she slumped against a vertical beam. Shauna collapsed onto her knees. That was absolutely insane. Is he gone? A person called out. They looked to see an old man approach them. Is that man gone? Yeah, we defeated him. Ash replied. Oh, thank you so much. You saved everyone here in my business. It's truly astounding you could force him away despite being young trainers. Very well then, I'll show you how much your efforts are appreciated. Taking out a check, he's written down a certain number and handed it to Ash. Holy moly! The trainer gasped. He showed it to his friends. Oh man! That's a lot of money, Serena gasped. Not only that, I'd like to give you this. Going to Trevor, he gave the young teen a purple ball. The Master Ball. There's only a little more than 50 in the whole world. I just have a feeling you'll put this to great use. That blasted man, what was he planning to accomplish with by taking every Pokeball here? Well, thank you again. Later that night, the group were recuperating at the Pokemon Center, tired from such a day. Mega Alakazam. Such an OP Pokemon. Trevor wondered out loud. It's a good thing Monique was there. Otherwise we might have never won. Serena sighed, lying down on a couch. Yeah, she and her Gengar were awesome. I didn't know you could Mega Evolve your Gengar. Well, the stones were a parting gift from my mother. Monique caressed a ring that held the stone. She came across them by chance, and only after turning it into a ring did she learn it was a Mega Stone. Once I turned 6, she bestowed it to me, believing that it was fate that we came into possession of it. She wasn't a psychic or hex maniac, but from what I remember, she always had this mystical side to her that made her unlike any other person I knew back then or since. That is until you guys. I can just sense it. Like in a story, you're the main characters. Everyone stayed silent as they let the ideas sink in. Well, at least now you have us. Shauna cheered. You're part of our group now, Monique. Welcome aboard. She then went and hugged the gothic girl, causing her to blush, but then she smiled as she hugged back. Thank you. 3 cheers for Monique. The spunky girl encouraged. To be continued. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts and reviews in the comment box. Now I will see you in the next video.